Today on Boston 25, a little bit of spring when you could really use some. It's the Red Sox and the Tampa Bay Rays live from Fort Myers, Florida. Hi, everybody. Welcome to JetBlue. Certainly wishing you were here. I'm Dave O'Brien alongside my partner Steve Lyons. Jemai Webster will be with us in a couple of moments, and Jerry Remy with a visit to the booth in just a little bit. Steve, great to see you, and great to see J.D. Martinez in the lineup yesterday, and he's batting cleanup today.
Yeah, the J.D. Martinez era has begun. Of course, he had a couple weak pop-ups in his debut, but this is spring training. He's working on the kinks out. He wants to get a lot of at-bats. He likes to play in spring training. Do we need him to hit 45 home runs? I don't think so. What we need out of him is to provide some good pop in the middle of that order, drive in the runs that are available to him, and be a little bit of a team leader in that clubhouse.
Sometimes what we need and what we like are two different things. I'd really like him to hit 45 home runs.
I'll take it.
Yeah, and Eduardo Nunez is also in the lineup. You remember what a lift he gave the Red Sox last year? Had some knee issues, but he's back in there today. His spring training debut. Red Sox and the Rays coming up from sunny Fort Myers, Florida.
Islandology.
Myers, Florida. Dave O'Brien and Steve Lyons, and Jemai Webster is going to tell us what he's working on today. Jemai, great to see you.
Absolutely. Great to see you guys as well, Dave. These are just a few topics we're hoping to get to during the broadcast. Brian Johnson gets to start his third spring training start. We're going to tell you about his expectations for this outing, Kevin Cash and Alex Cora's relationship, as well as an injury update on a few of the Red Sox who are trying to be back on the mend and get with this broadcast, this team this spring, as well as a topic that nearly broke the internet on Wednesday, the bullpen cart. You're going to want to hear about that hopefully a little later during this game.
Those are the big stories coming out of spring training. You hit it, right? I mean, a bullpen cart, that's a big deal in the Grapefruit League and the Cactus League. Well, here are the starting lineups today, and for the Tampa Bay Rays of Kevin Cash, it'll be Johnny Field to lead things off. He's in center field. Danny Echeverria is the designated hitter. He'll be the regular shortstop this season. Matt Duffy will be at third base. Wilson Ramos, the veteran catcher, is the cleanup man. Jake Bauers, a top prospect at first base. Then it's Jason Coates at right. Joey Wendell at second base. Christian Arroyo, another one of their bigger prospects. He's at short today. And Malik Smith in left field and batting ninth. And facing the guy that we seem to see every time we broadcast a game, and that's been good news because Brian Johnson's been very sharp so far, Steve.
Fighting his way for that number 5 spot in the rotation, considering there's a few guys in the regular starting rotation that may not start the season on time.
Tampa Bay in town, and we'll see them a lot early in the regular season.
Defensively for the Red Sox, Tavares, Bradley, and Betts in your outfield. Lynn at third base today. Bogarts, Nunez, and Hanley Ramirez making an appearance at first base. Your battery is Johnson, and the guy who plays almost every day down here, Blake Swihart.
And so happy to tell you that the Rem Dog, Jerry Remy, Red Sox Hall of Famer, will be joining us in the second inning. Looking great, sounding great, getting ready for opening day. Jerry will be on several broadcasts during spring training as well, because it's spring training for the broadcasters too. And Eduardo Nunez, as you mentioned, in the lineup today, first time here in spring training. He was scratched from the lineup yesterday because of some rainy weather early. Red Sox wanted to be cautious with that because he's coming back from that knee situation last year, but ready to go. And you'll be seeing him a lot at second base because of the knee issue with Dustin Pedroia. Although Petey's rehab is going very, very well. Field to get in, and here's Johnson's first one of the day. A strike as we get started in the sunshine. We certainly are aware of the nasty snow, the awful weather, frankly, that you've been getting back home in Boston and throughout New England. We're thinking about you. You know, a lot of folks have lost power. I think I just read over 1 million people have lost power throughout New England. And the 1-1. Fly to left field. Tavares backing, turning immediately, and looking up to play that one off the wall and into second base, sliding with a double is Field. And Johnson is yet to allow a run against a major league opponent in spring training, but gives up a quick double.
Yeah, this ball just out over the plate, and we know that Ryan Johnson doesn't throw hard enough to really throw the ball by guys, so he's got to rely on his finesse. He's got to hit his corners, and that one didn't.
Alex Gore saying today, and Jemai will have more on this in a little bit, he wants to see Johnson, you know, go several innings today, go as deep as he can. So today is an important day for him as far as a step forward. Here's a Danny Echeverria. Echeverria is going to be, as mentioned, their everyday shortstop, and he's a very good one, very smooth defender. Acquired from the Marlins last year. Is their DH today. And he rips that one. That's going to take a bounce up against the wall and bring in a run. Field will score easily as the throw comes in, and just like that, Johnson's allowed his first run of the spring. 1-0 Tampa Bay. It's kind of the way it started yesterday against Minnesota here.
Yes, it did. Quickly and ugly. 2 swings of the bat, 1 run scored. Once again, you look at location, and it's easy to see when that ball's hanging out over the middle of the plate. Major league hitters are going to hit it. Tavares doing a nice job out there in left field, playing the wall nicely on both occasions. Held him to a single on that play.
So 1-0 Rays. Here's Matt Duffy. Duffy missed all of last year because of an Achilles injury. But very much in the mix for Kevin Cash this season. Cash brought his staff #1 today, Chris Archer, who will pitch against the Red Sox, and 3 regulars from the everyday lineup. Duffy's one of them, and so is Wilson Ramos, who's his catcher. As you and I have mused on this in the past, that when we've seen Tampa Bay, you know, there are not a lot of household names.
There used to be. Well, this was an organization that was knocking on the door for a little bit. Played in a World Series. Of the 32 players that opened the season last year that were either on the 25-man roster or on the Major League DL when the season opened, 32 of them, 14 are left. That's in 1 year. What a turnover.
And you know, they were a competitive club for long stretches of last season, and you wonder if that's going to be the last time in a while you can say that. They went 80-82, and as is typically the case with the Rays, they were a tough out. They were a tough club to beat. But now with all the departures, you really have to wonder, did they have any hope of escaping the basement this year?
Yeah, I mean, they were a team that I think they knew they were a couple players short of being a really good team, but that didn't stop them from going out there and busting it every day. And that's what contributed to what you said. They were a tough team to beat. Eventually, it seemed like you were going to get it done, but they were going to fight you everywhere.
Well, that's always been the case. I think the teams they play inside their division, inside the American League East, they're always difficult to beat. Red Sox see him often early. That'll land high on Duffy. Ramos on deck. 1-0 Tampa Bay.
This is where it gets a little scary for Johnson here. He's worked the count 3-2 again. Just threw the breaking ball that didn't break. Duffy's probably sitting on a fastball.
But it missed. So the first 3 men have reached in this one. Let's go back to Jemai.
Well, Dave, you hit it on the head. This is a big start for Brian Johnson. His 3rd start of spring training. He entered this one going 4 scoreless innings. Red Sox manager Alex Cora says this was a big day for him. They're looking to extend him, stretch him out. He says the plan for him is to work on his fastball and then use his off-speed pitches to expand. But he so far has been pleased with what he's been able to do this spring and says that Johnson has a unique opportunity because with Eduardo Rodriguez, Stephen Wright potentially not being ready for the start of the season, he can cement himself towards that back end of the rotation.
Certainly not helping himself early here this afternoon, Jemai, but coming into the day, you'd have to say he had the leg up on a number 5 spot in the rotation. Although still fairly early in spring training.
Hector Velasquez throwing his hat into that ring through the other day. Gave up a 1 run in that. It was a solo home run.
Dan Lemangi, the Red Sox new pitching coach, coming out of the bullpen, where he served under John Farrell. And keeping a very close watch on the left-hander today. Gave the Red Sox one of the really great moments all last year with that complete game shutout against Seattle in May. A wave and a miss by Ramos. It's a good test for Johnson because he's facing legitimate major leaguers here at the top of the order.
Yes, and so far it hasn't worked out all that well. And obviously pitchers need time to build that arm strength. So you go a couple innings your first couple times out. He went 4 his last time, and they're going to let him go longer if he can. The bad part about that is usually you can only go as long as the other team will let you.
It appears to be nibbling a little bit early after giving up the double and the single and then the ball 4 to Duffy. Now he's gone to 3-1 on the catcher Ramos. Hit 11 home runs, 260 last year. It's that one deep down the right field line. Mookie Betts taken off. That one sailing into the corner. And that's a fair ball. That's going to bounce on the warning track and bring in 2 runs. Echeverria is in. Duffy is in. And Ramos with a double down the right field line. Just like that makes it 3-0.
Well, this is a ball that you kind of thought that maybe Ramos was helping him out with. He goes the other way with it. It's not that bad a pitch, but he gets it up in the air. And look at how far Mookie has to go. They're bunching him way into the center field. This ball hits off the wall down there past the pesky pole and bounces back towards center field. But Mookie had no chance of catching up with that to catch it in the air.
I don't know. Are we allowed to call that the pesky pole if it's not in Fenway Park?
Well, the replica.
Which is a little longer to say. I get you. Takes a little too long. Jake Bauers here, the young first baseman. With a man at second. Nobody out yet for Johnson. He's quickly down 3-zip. Bauers was at Durham last year. Strokes that one to right field, driving back Mookie Betts. Mookie will make the play. Ramos will hold at second base, but that one was hit right on a line for the first out.
Ramos with a little indecision there off the bat. He thought maybe that ball would get over Mookie's head, and he decided to go halfway. He'd score if the ball did get over Mookie's head. But did he forget that Mookie Betts won a couple Gold Gloves out there? Because that's a ball that maybe you should tag up on and move on to third base.
Yeah, and my bet is that run of gold will not end anytime soon. Here's Jason Coates, right fielder. Well, great to see Eduardo Nunez out there. It was an odd process, and a lot of free agents said this winter. The whole process was very strange. Some of them are still out there, as yet unsigned. Guys like Jake Arrieta, for example, still looking for a ball club, someplace to land. In Nunez's case, coming back from the knee situation, the PCL, that sprain last year, he was saying the other day that I really didn't want a lot of clubs looking at me. I didn't want anybody looking at me until about the end of January, as far as the workout was concerned. He was very cautious about that.
Wasn't ready.
Wasn't ready.
You don't want to show someone your worst. Hey, I'll come and work out for you, but I'm not at my best, and that's what you're going to see. You decide you don't want me.
2-1 popped up. Long run for Hanley.
It's a tough play right here.
Can't get to it. But Nunez, a guy who gave the Red Sox such a lift. I mean, over and above the fact he hit .320 and showed power when he came from the San Francisco Giants. It was the energy he gave the ball club and great life in that clubhouse, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, like you talked about, the numbers aside, what he did for the team at a time where they needed a little bit of a jolt. He hit 8 home runs, 27 RBIs. He only played 38 games.
Got him looking. So Johnson picks up his first K of the day. He sits down Coates, and there are 2 gone.
Let's see what Coates is looking at right here. So you can tell the difference in the pitch there. That pitch, outer half on the black out there, a much more difficult pitch to handle if you're a hitter. Not like some of the pitches that the guys early in this lineup we're seeing that were out over the middle of the plate where they could hammer.
Here's Joey Wendell, the second baseman. 7 batters in here in the top of the first inning, and he'll take a strike. But good health for Eduardo Nunez is huge for the Red Sox, with Dustin Pedroia out with his own knee issue until May.
But you got to think Nunez is the front runner for that job to be the opening day second baseman. But you will get a little argument from today's third baseman, Sue Lin over there, who's very impressive. This organization loves him. Another guy. You talk about the 2 guys that came up and made a pretty good impression on this ball club last year, giving them a little boost, a little energy.
Yeah, and I know that Alex Cora, this goes to your point, Alex Cora has been very impressed by Lynn and the ability to move him around on the infield, and the fact that the kid doesn't back down. He doesn't look afraid of anything. He didn't last year, and he had never played above AA.
Even in the outfield, they've had him out there.
But in Nunez, you have a proven veteran major league infielder who can swing the bat and help you with a little pop too.
Career average of about 285. It seems like everywhere he goes, he hits. He was supposed to be the big Yankee prospect right around 2010. Did have a year where he made a lot of errors in a short period of time, and they kind of ran him out of New York.
Here's the 1-2. Right at him. Nunez handles that chance and retires the side. Rough start though for Johnson. Gives up 3 quick runs, and the Red Sox come to bat for the first time here in Fort Myers.
Over 56 million albums.
Blue basking in the sunshine as we take you to the bottom half of the first inning. Red Sox coming up here against the right-hander Chris Archer. It'll be Mookie Betts to lead things off. Mookie in right, Eduardo Nunez at second base, Hanley Ramirez at first. JD Martinez played left field yesterday, the DH today. Xander Bogaerts at short. Xander swinging a good bat. Jackie Bradley in center. Blake Swihart as hot as anybody, probably hotter than anybody in camp right now. He's doing the catching. Zhu-Wei Lin at third base. And Anuri Tavares is in left field, and a number 9 hitter against Archer. Without dispute, he is the number 1 for Tampa Bay.
Absolutely. This is a guy, you look at his numbers from 2017, they don't look that impressive when you look at the win-loss record and an ERA of over 4. But he goes out there every time you hand him the ball. 34 starts. That tied for the American League lead in starts last season. 200 innings again.
Now, only 60 walks, threw a lot of strikes, and a guy who, if he got some run support, you could easily see winning 16, 17 games, I think.
Had the horrific loss total from the season before where he just couldn't get a win.
Mookie tags that one. Good sign. He hasn't had many so far in the spring. He's off to a very cold start, 0 for 16.
That's not many. That's not any. That'll change, you think?
Well, he hit a couple on the nose foul yesterday, and right out of the gate does the same thing.
Now, I saw something where Mookie Betts faced more than 200 more sliders last year than he had faced at any time in his previous season. So they're learning that you can't throw a fastball by him on the inner half, so they started going down and away. He's going to have to make that adjustment, and he will.
Buried the 1-2 pitch. Mookie with 102 RBIs last season, won his second Gold Glove. He's only 25. He's already been to 2 All-Star games.
The 2 Gold Gloves.
Hard hit, that's fair. Snagged by Duffy, up and gunning, and not going to get him. Mookie Betts with his first knock of the spring. we were really worried. We were really panicking.
That's a great reaction. Tommy Goodwin with a big hug from Mookie down there.
Hey, remember, I can do this.
and the funny part about it, if you don't have the speed of Mookie Betts, any other hitter gets thrown out right here. Great play by Duffy down the line.
Yep.
Nice dive. You got to get up. Look at Mookie motor, and he's begging for a hit there.
That's the only time you may say that all year.
Oh man, that's a great play by Duffy down there. He comes up throwing, but with Mookie's speed, you can't get him.
Classic reaction there.
Thank you.
So that'll send up Eduardo Nunez for the first time this spring. I'm sure you recall he collapsed and then was carried off the field in the first inning of Game 1 of the American League Division Series in Houston last October after that ground ball against Justin Verlander, and he did not play again. And that was an aggravation of that PCL, that sprained PCL in the right knee. Skies a pop-up here. Out goes the second baseman, center fielder coming on to make the play. So Field with the grab, and one man gone.
Hey, let's check out the defense here for your Tampa Bay Rays. Smith, Field, and Coates is your outfield. Duffy's the shortstop. Duffy's the third baseman. Arroyo at short. Wendell and Bowers, their ace. Mr. Archer pitching to Wilson Ramos.
So Archer to pitch to Hanley Ramirez. Hanley so far 3 for 19 this spring. Batting out of that 3 spot right in front of JD Martinez. With Mookie Betts aboard, man 1 down, 3-0 Tampa Bay. Stroked into center field, a sinking liner, and caught by Field as he measured it. He flips on to first base, but won't double up Mookie. 2 down. Good looking swing there from Hanley.
Hammered that ball right up the middle. Fields got a little bit of a funny jump on it, and then he decided to dive it. Made it look like a much more difficult play than it was. There's Hanley right there. The classic pose after the swing. He knew he hit it hard. he also probably knew he hit it far enough where the center fielder was going to be able to make that play.
So that'll send up JD Martinez, the designated hitter today, playing back-to-back games. JD saw his first action yesterday in the loss to Minnesota. He went 0 for 2. 6'3", 221 pounds, and somehow he looks bigger than that.
Yeah.
In person, he looks bigger than that.
It'll be interesting to see how Alex Cora tinkers with the batting order here, with Martinez hitting 4th in this one. Felt like he was really leaning towards Martinez hitting 3rd when they signed him.
As we showed you, had a big year between Detroit and Arizona before signing with the Red Sox as a free agent at 45 home runs. He did that in only 432 at-bats.
I know. Had a little foot problem early in the season.
Not the only time he's turned in big numbers, though. In 2015, he hit 38 home runs and drove in 102 for Detroit. The year after that, he hit 307. So he can hit for average, too.
Yeah, to go along with the power, he is an outstanding average hitter. Up around 300 with regularity. You got a 300 hitter that can hit 45 bombs. It's a pretty complete guy, isn't it?
It's David Ortiz.
Yeah.
That's Big Papi. 2 down. Mookie with a decent lead, not running. And a slicer to right field. That'll dunk down for a base hit. It gets beyond Coates. Mookie taking off. He's going to be waved in. Fable's trying to bring him around. Here's the play at the plate, and he is safe. Martinez to second. Red Sox on the board.
Well, JD will take that base hit to the opposite field. You're going to see that a ton this year. His power is the other way. He waits on the ball a long time. He's great at being able to put nice inside out swing on that. Bad play by Coates out here. You don't have a chance to catch this ball. Keep the ball in front of you. Maybe Mookie goes to third. Chances are that's what happens, but you end up with a 1st and 3rd situation. But you try to dive for that ball and it gets by you like it happens, you just gave up a run.
Well, JD Martinez picking up his first RBI for the Red Sox here in spring training. And now Xander Bogaerts. Xander's locked in pretty good early. 7 out of 15 at the plate. Martinez moving up to second base on the throw home. And 3-1 Tampa Bay. Xander last season 273, 10 homers, 62 runs batted in. It wasn't really until deep into the winter that he talked about that hand injury when he struck by a pitch midway through the summer, how that affected him the rest of the way. And he admitted, I probably should have sat out for a while. I shouldn't have pushed it to get back in the lineup quite so soon. You hear that from guys who are 25 years old. And, you know, when you're 22, 23, 24 years old, you don't want to tell anybody you're hurt. You never want to admit it. And with maturity, you begin to realize, yeah, I probably should have sat out a good week.
Yeah, I mean, sit out a week and come back 100% healthy is a lot better than playing through it and never being healthy really for the rest of the season. Hand injuries, you're going to use your hands every day in every position of this game.
Little dribbler here. Archer with a bobble, but he'll outrace him to first base to retire the side. When we come back, the Rem Dog will be joining us here inside the broadcast booth at Fort Myers, Florida. 3-1 Tampa Bay.
For 50 years, Alfredo Aiello
Well, after an inning here at JetBlue, it's Tampa Bay on top 3-1 over the Red Sox. I've never been so happy to hear a partner do a mic check than the one I just heard from Jerry Remy, my partner. Rem, great to see you. Great to have you here at spring training.
How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
All right. How you doing, Steve? All right.
Excellent.
All right. Good.
Great to see you.
How you feeling?
I'm doing real well. I got down here about a week ago, and nice to change of climate, obviously, get down in the good weather, and everything's going very well.
Well, from the time I got here, 5 seconds after I arrived, everybody I've talked to has asked me the exact same question I just asked you. How is Jerry doing? How's he feeling? When are we going to see him? And when you showed up the other day here in spring training, it was just great to see you. And I know a lot of fans are coming up to you all the time. You're all done with your treatments.
Yes, that's correct. I obviously had the surgery last in June. That was followed by chemotherapy. Came back to work a little bit at the end of the season with the chemotherapy, and then had 27 treatments of radiation going into this off season, which carried me through about the middle of January. So I've been finished with the treatments to that point. As you see the swing and the miss right there.
And you had never done all of these. I think most fans are very aware this is not your first go-around. It's several bouts with cancer, but this is the first time you've ever done all of these: surgery, chemo, and radiation, right?
Yeah, Dave. You know, what happened is when they did the surgery, they were very confident it was localized and they were going to be able to take it out with, you know, just the surgery being done. But then I got the word that it had spread, and that was obviously very concerning to everybody. So right away they went into radiation. They went into talking about chemotherapy, going through 3 sessions of that, 3 cycles of that, and then radiation to get a node out of there. So it was more complex, and obviously it was the full deal.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's tough physically, it's tough emotionally, but the fact is the doctors are so good. You listen to the doctors, what they have to say, and as long as you see in progress, you know, you feel good about it. And, you know, it's dying to drop a bunt down, isn't he?
Alex Smith, yeah.
He's not giving up.
No, he's not. So, but you know, you go to these places where you get the chemo and you get the radiation and you get people sitting to your left, to your right, in front of you, behind you, all in probably maybe worse shape than you are. You know, so there's a lot of people with tremendous courage out there that really help you get through things like this. And you know, one of the things that helps me get through is the thought of coming back and doing some baseball. And I made a promise last year that I'd be back for opening day, and I will be back for opening day.
Yeah, and in fact, you'll be back to do some games at some point here during spring training.
Yeah, the last week, I think I got 5 of the last 6 spring training games.
Yeah.
So
we're going to put you to work.
Yeah, I need some reps. I need to build up my word count.
Smith goes down, and 2 fast outs.
I'll tell you, Jerry, you got to be the toughest little guy in the history of the world, because everything you've been through this 4, 5, 6 times now, and I don't speak from personal experience, but my own grandson just finished up with his 3.5 years of leukemia treatments, and he beat it, but it was not easy. It was as sick as a dog for 3.5 years, and you know, threw up 15 times a day for 3.5 years. So going through the chemo and radiation that you had to do after the surgery is just, it's unbelievable that you fought that off again.
Yeah, you know, you really have no choice, Steve. You know, I mean, you get this information and you've got to do exactly what the doctors say. We're very fortunate that we have some of the best in the world up in our area, and to be able to listen to them, take their instruction, and, you know, just battle your way through it. And, you know, you get positive signs as you go through that make you feel good, and you know, you get to a point where you feel, you know, like, you know, things are turning the corner now. You feel a little bit better, and it's but it's difficult. I'm not going to lie. I mean, it's very difficult to go through, and I don't wish it on anybody. But I gotta tell you, if you're going to have it, the place to get treatment is, you know, up in the Boston area. That's certainly the place.
I know that we were amazed you came back last year. And
yeah, I was a little bit too.
It was. I mean, I did not expect, especially given the surgery that you went through. I just don't think people realize what you went through with that. We'll talk more with the Rem Dog in a moment. Nice bounce back inning by Johnson as he strikes out the side. Bottom of the second back here at Fort Myers, 3-1 Tampa Bay leading the Sox. The great Jerry Remy joining us inside the booth, along with Steve Lyons, Jemai Webster as well. And I'm sure you're tuning in, watching the snowfall outside, or maybe having done some shoveling today. And we certainly wish you were here, but delighted that the Rem Dog is back. As you've been watching the ball club and following the games here, because you've been in camp for a little while, and you know the J.D. Martinez saga playing out, what were you thinking about his addition to this lineup?
Well, it was obviously the missing piece. I mean, the Red Sox needed some home run pop.
Shot down the line by Jackie Bradley. That'll get all the way to the base of the fence. Jackie taking off for second. He'll reach with a stand-up double.
That's a nice opposite field shot there by Jackie. That's nice to see. A lot of times you see him just try to pull the ball, and this time he'll take that pitch that's just sailing away from him and get above it and take it to the opposite field. Look at his hands get above the baseball right there and drive it hard down to that left field corner. That's nice hitting right there, Steve.
How many times do we say that about hitters where they're at their best when they're thinking about going the other way? And Jackie's one of those guys.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
So they'll send up Blake Swihart. 10 out of 24 in this camp with 6 doubles, leading the Red Sox in most offensive categories.
Yeah, getting back to the team, I always felt like, if they could add some punch to the lineup, to the middle of that lineup, and they certainly did with J.D. Martinez, you're looking at a very good offense. And then the key for me is David Price. I had the opportunity the other day. I know it's only his first time out, and it was against minor league players, but he looked like David Price, we didn't get a chance to see last year, except in the playoffs. I mean, he really threw the ball well. And it's on a minor leagues field, so you get a chance to stand right behind the cage and watch it. And the ball was really popping, and he was, nice and free and easy. And that was a great sign to me. So, you win 93 games basically without a Price last year and a J.D. Martinez. You add those two to the equation, you might be talking 96, 97 wins with this club. And then, of course, they've got to do it in the playoffs.
Sure. Great news on Price, too. I mean, feeling strong. And I think you can tell. And you could tell in his post-game comments that he feels really strong.
Well, look, the worst thing, and Steve can back me on this one, is when you're an injured ball player. It's the worst thing in the world because there's nothing you can do to help the ball club. You feel like, you don't even want to be around. And, you're just not a happy person because you can't do what you do best, and that's play baseball. So, with an opportunity now to come back feeling healthy, and throwing the ball well, I think those playoff games helped him tremendously going into the offseason. And, he to me is a real key to this pitching staff, which could be quite good.
Guys in situations like that up and down the lineup last year, when you look at guys like Price who were injured and had to sit out, then you have guys like Bogey who got hurt but continued to play. Same thing with Pedroia, hurt, not 100%, continued to play, finally had to have the thing operated on.
Yeah, Mookie Betts another one. Right toward the end of the season, hurt his arm, and he wasn't the same in the playoffs either. So, with any club, it's hard to predict. You can predict if they're going to be a good club. What you can't predict is if they're going to have injuries or not. And you certainly hope to stay away from those.
Zhu Lin playing third base today. Runners at first and second after the ball four to Blake Swihart. As Jerry Remy joins us in the booth, and the Rem Dog will be calling some games upcoming here in spring training and then ready for opening day, which will be against Tampa Bay. Sox will start at Tropicana Field and then go over to Miami to take on the Marlins, and then finally back home April 5, also against Tampa Bay. And the Yankees will be on that first homestand.
Yeah, Red Sox have an excellent opportunity to get off to a very good start, and with the opposition that they're going to have for the first couple of weeks. The first big series they're going to have, obviously, is that Yankee series at Fenway Park, and that's going to be kind of fun all season long.
What's the first thing in your mind as we give you a shot at Alex Cora, that a first-year manager who has not done it, and, I mean, all the great things you can say about Alex and have been said for years. He was a rising star as a managerial candidate. But what's the most important thing he's got to be aware of going in as a first-year manager?
Well, I think, in Boston in particular, the amount of pressure that's going to be on him. Now, you can take spring training and you can basically throw it away because there's really no pressure down here. It's the fun time of the season. The pressure starts when that first pitch is thrown in a game.
When you
And
got to
that's-
win.
You got to win. And when you got to win, you got to win every game in Boston, because every game's like the 7th game of the World Series. So to me, that's when the pressure starts. And how he's able to deal with some bad stretches and some things going wrong, will determine really what kind of manager he's going to be. Now, he's been very hands-on down here. What I've seen in the week that I've been here, doing multiple jobs really.
Pretty well hit out to right center field, and backing up his coach, the right fielder, shy of the track. Jackie Bradley's going to advance second to third, 1 man away.
And I also think he's trying to build relationships, very close relationships with his players. You see him eating in the dining room with them. He's always joking with them in the clubhouse. So I think he wants to have a very, he's going to be a player's manager. There's no question about that. But it's interesting how the game is going to young managers now, and with no experience. Basically Cora, no experience, and then Boone, no experience, and they have so much information available to them on a daily basis with the analytics right now that they're very well prepared for a ball game.
I think Ron Renicky will really help him sitting on the bench as well.
I agree.
Play at second, got him there on to first, not in time, and a run will score. JBJ touching home to make it a 3-2 game. No double play for Tampa Bay. Yeah, that's invaluable, isn't it, to have not only a veteran bench coach, but a guy who's managed in the big leagues for several years himself.
Absolutely. To have some guy that you can go to in certain situations that has been in that situation before. He may see something that you don't see, and he can come up and talk to you. And it's always great to have a great relationship between your bench coach and your manager. And Renicky certainly provides that. He's a very cool customer. Doesn't get too excited. He's been around the block a few times. So I think he's going to be enormous help to Cora here in his first year.
Here's Mookie Betts. Mookie with his first base hit of the spring, and scored his first run in the first inning.
That's funny. Mookie getting that base hit is like he wanted the baseball. Even his spring training guys want hits whenever you bat.
Yeah, and I also think that Alex Cora is a guy that has very little ego about asking questions or asking for help from his bench coach or from anyone else on the staff, even the players. And I think that's the way you have to come into this season.
I would agree. No manager knows everything, and no matter how long you've managed, they'll admit it. Guys that have been around a long time are always learning something about the craft. So the more questions you can ask, the more information you have available to you, the better off you're going to be.
Mookie tags that one to dead away center, but field with room and will make the catch. Great having you back with us.
All right.
You sound like $1 million right out of the gate. I don't know how you do that, but you're a natural. See you a little bit later in the spring on the air.
Yeah, and I'll be here every day just watching what's going on. So
Excellent.
Jerry Remy.
All right.
Back
Good
to
see you,
work.
Jerry.
All right. Thanks to the Rem Dog. 3-2 Tampa Bay.
My life after hockey hasn't slowed
Nesson and Boston 25 apart in the next couple of Thursdays for Red Sox spring training games all at one inside the Boston market. Games will be exclusively on Boston 25. Outside the Boston market, they'll be on Nesson. Next week, the Sox will host division rival the Toronto Blue Jays at JetBlue. Boston TV market includes the Worcester area and all southern New Hampshire, and you will be tested.
Look at how fast Mookie's running there. It's flying.
A little on the cool side today. We're not complaining. I mean, it's just beautiful. Certainly not going to complain given what everyone's handling back home.
Yeah, I have a little jacket on for the first time in spring training. The wind's a little chilly, standing in the shade, but out in the sun, it's beautiful.
Everybody appropriately attired. And yesterday was the only time where the weather kind of disrupted a couple things for the Red Sox because of the showers early in the day. For example, Eduardo Nunez was in the original lineup. He was a scratch because of that.
JD Martinez also in that lineup was not scratched because he wasn't dealing with an injury. You know, they worry about the wet grass a little bit, but let's face it, if it rains a little bit, you got to go play unless you're a guy that's coming off of an injury and one little slip can send you right back there again.
Echeverria with an RBI single first time up. Nunez tested behind the bag, flips on, and it gets by. So Echeverria will be safe at first.
Tell you what, that's a fantastic play right there by Nunez to be able to get that much on a throw, running virtually straight into left field when he had to throw it. Watch how far he is behind second base, getting that much on it. It kind of eludes Hanley right there, but that's a ball that Hanley should catch. That should have been an out.
So we'll see how they rule on that. A base runner for Tampa Bay will send up Matt Duffy. Brian Johnson into his third inning. First one was rough. The second one was perfect. Gave up 3 runs, 3 hits in the first inning. And the second inning, he struck out 3 in a row. Duffy walked and scored in the first inning. Red Sox are 8-6 on the spring. The Rays are 6-7.
No ruling on that Echeverria hit yet, huh?
You know, they've charged an error on the play, but we have not been told who it was on. Nunez or Ramirez. I'm with you. I thought the throw, even though it bounced once, was on target.
Usually they give the error to the guy who threw the ball. And, you know, you and I have discussed this a lot. I know I talk a lot about it in the pre and post game show. It seems that to me these days they pass out hits like they're passing out candy sometimes at ball games. But to me, that's a hit.
Line, but foul.
I'm like,
I agree. I could definitely see that as a base hit because it took an above average effort by Nunez just to get to it.
Yeah, it was a very difficult play to make at the end of the day, period. No matter who ends up not making it, it's because it was too tough a play. That's a base hit.
Well, they're charging Nunez with the error because of that one hop throw, but
yeah,
I would agree wholeheartedly that that should be a base hit.
If you're going to score an error, he's the guy who gets the error. But that's a base hit, and I don't pass out base hits too liberally.
Johnson's 1-2 to the shortstop. Xander Bogaerts got one there and a double play. So just like that, 2 down. Let's send it down to Jemai.
Well, Dave, there are plenty of the Red Sox marquee players trying to work their way back from injury during spring training. Dustin Pedroia, Stephen Wright, and Eduardo Rodriguez come to mind. And as far as Petey is concerned, he's been doing some hitting, some fielding, taking ground balls, but nothing side to side just yet as he works his way back from the knee injury. But he has been doing some strength and conditioning work. And also, Red Sox manager Alex Cora said that he's been loud in the clubhouse lately. And when he's loud, that means that he's feeling good. And you also know that he's been younger. So those guys are working their way back, and they should be back soon enough.
A loud Dustin Pedroia is a very good sign for the Boston Red Sox. Middle of the third, 3-2 Tampa Bay.
In the bottom of the third during spring training where the Red Sox trail the Tampa Bay Rays 3-2. Just completing the thought on some of those injured players, Dave. Eduardo Rodriguez is hoped to face some batters sooner than later. But Red Sox manager Alex Cora says with him, the biggest thing is his comfortability. He wants him to be able to test that knee out and get back to a point where he feels good and it's not a second thought in his mind. And as far as Stephen Wright is concerned, he says he's having some good days and some bad days, but his bad days, they aren't horrible days. Again, with him, it's about his mindset and making sure he's comfortable fielding his position and being back to where he was pre-injury.
Jemai, thank you very much. And those are two reasons why Brian Johnson's been given a crack at that fifth starter spot for the Red Sox. 3-2 Tampa Bay, and Eduardo Nunez leading off against Chris Archer. Eduardo with the Giants and the Sox last year. With San Francisco, he hit .308 over 76 games. Dealt to the Sox in July and would hit .321 for Boston with 8 homers in 38 games. He made an immediate impact. I think the power caught you a little bit by surprise, didn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, 8 homers in that period of time. He just did exactly what they asked him to do when he got there. I don't think that they really expected him to be a guy that they couldn't take out of the lineup, but that's who he ended up being.
Getting all sorts of texts from folks who are so happy to see the Rem Dog on the air today, looking good, sounding great. I know how many of you have been eager to see him back on the air. And I can tell you he's been eager to get back on the air.
Yes.
Loves to work and work a lot. And just so happy that he feels good. He's been through a bit of hell.
A bit?
I don't think people realize just how bad that surgery was and how much he had to make his way through. I mean, just about everybody has experienced a situation where a loved one has battled cancer. And in Jerry's case, he's like a family member to Red Sox Nation. And he's treated exactly the same way. And heybody who's seen him here he's brightened up their day. A cut and a miss, and Nunez hacking away, goes down on strikes, and Eduardo's 0 for 2 today. That'll bring up Hanley. Rays manager Kevin Nash dropped a bit of a bombshell yesterday when he said that Tampa Bay may employ a 4-man rotation, not only in the early going, but maybe all season. He's playing around with that idea.
Yeah, you know, the game's changing a little bit. The starters, you know, everyone used to say you can't win without starting pitching. You need guys to get deep. You need guys to make 32 to 34 starts. They got to throw 200 innings.
High chop, Arroyo on target, 2 down.
It's not as important anymore, but I can tell you, you know, if you're talking about having 5 starters and 7 guys down there in the pen, that gives you 12 pitchers. If you go to 4, maybe you get 8 guys in the pen. And if you decide to do that, maybe you even decide not to carry an extra utility infielder. You can have 9 guys down there. But if your starters out of the game every day in the 4th or 5th inning, those guys in the bullpen are going to, you know, really run out of gas pretty quickly as well, even if you do have extra guys down there. So not so sure how it's going to work out.
Here's JD for the second time. He has an RBI single today. Punched a line drive to right field to chase in Mookie Betts after it ate up Coates on a bounce. JD hit 3 grand slams last year.
How many did the Red Sox hit?
None. So right away, you love that improvement potentially. Back in 2015, he hit 3 home runs in 1 game at Yankee Stadium. And then last year, he belted 4 home runs in 1 game against the Dodgers, which tied the major league record. And he's 2 for 2 today. Another single to right field. Get used to seeing that because he uses right field very well.
Yeah, and it makes absolutely no sense to employ a shift against Martinez because he's an opposite field hitter. He can do it. That's nothing but just looking out there showing, what are you giving me? You're giving me the entire right side. Well, guess what? I can hit it over there all day long.
Well, Jerry, in fact, was watching him take BP, his first BP here at JetBlue the other day, and we were chatting afterwards. He said his power to right center and like up and over the bullpen, and here at JetBlue onto the grassy area beyond the right field bullpen is something to see, because you don't see a right-hand hitter do that very often.
Yeah, and you know, that's one of the reasons why, you know, everyone said he hit 45 home runs last year, and he did. I don't think he's going to hit 45 home runs in Fenway Park this next season.
Why do you say that?
Well, because his power is the other way, and that is an enormously big right center field in Fenway Park. He's going to lose some home runs in right center, particularly early in the season when it's cold and dreary and the ball doesn't jump. Now, but like I said, I don't think he has to. 30 home runs. If he hits 30 home runs this year in a Red Sox uniform with the lineup that's playing in front of him, what's his career high in RBI? It's like 104. He only had 102 last year with 45 home runs. I guarantee he gets 120 to 130 RBIs if he hits 30 home runs in this lineup.
But you think the wall will steal some of those home runs?
Yeah.
Xander Bogaerts 0 for 1 today. Red Sox down a run to Chris Archer in Tampa Bay.
You know, everyone says, oh, the left field wall, Green Monster stares you right in the face. Well, they don't tell you that the dead right center field's 380 feet away. That's a long poke out there.
Of course, he saw it as a 19-year-old. Celebrated his 19th birthday at Fenway Park, courtesy of Mike Lowell, who left him the tickets.
Very nice of him. Thank you very much.
JD was all decked out in his Red Sox gear, looking very much at home even back then. Sox have now out-hit the Rays 4-3. Xander lines it into left. Smith coming on, has to play it on a bounce. He was shaded over toward left center. Martinez to second, and the Red Sox trying to do something here with 2 down.
He was shaded over into center field. You're right about that. And I also think he got fooled by the swing. I think one of Xander's hands actually came off of the bat. Let's check this out. See his hand come off just a little bit earlier. I think he was fooled by how hard Bogey hit that ball. Looked like a big swing, but he kind of just dumped it into left field. No one can catch it.
Xander's getting some good results this spring. He's 8 out of 17. So first and second for Jackie Bradley, who ripped one down the left field line to the wall for a double and scored a run last time up.
Now, how about yourself, Obi? Do you think 45 is a tall order?
You know, he hit 38 in a big ballpark a few years ago with Detroit. Not a 37-foot wall. Jackie will get drilled here. So to your point, food for thought. But I just think he's so strong. I think he's got a real chance to get there. 40 anyway. I think that's going to be kind of an average year for J.D. Martinez for a while.
Yeah,
around 40.
I guess I just hope that Red Sox fans don't hey, expect it. He hit 45 last year.
Right.
He needs to hit 50 in Boston.
Right.
Coming to Boston.
Right.
You know, much the same way Red Sox fans expected enormous offensive numbers out of Pablo Sandoval. And that's not the player he was. And he had some ridiculously disappointing seasons. But he was never going to be a guy that was going to come in and hit you 30 home runs and hit 300.
Blake Swihart walked his first time up as the bases loaded 2 down. But I think this guy is such a better hitter than Pablo Sandoval.
Oh, no question about
he's
it.
in a different
I'm just
league.
talking about expectations. You know,
Yeah.
They expected a lot out of the Panda. They weren't going to get it.
Popped him up. On comes Field, and comes the left fielder now, Smith, to pluck that and retire the side. Red Sox fail to score in the inning. Still 3-2 Tampa Bay. Top of the 4th inning, and Tampa Bay leading by a run. Red Sox giveaways return to Fenway in 2018, including player bobbleheads, gnomes, and much more. For tickets and information on the entire 2018 giveaway lineup, please visit redsox.com/promos. Some great ones coming your way all summer. Now, day is done for Brian Johnson. He goes the first 3 innings, giving way to Fernando Rodriguez, the right-hander. So far this spring, 7 Ks over 6 innings. Last year spent most of the season with the Cubs AAA Iowa affiliate after being signed by the Sox as a minor league free agent. Signed by the Cubs. Got an invite to Major League spring training. Began the season on the DL, though, with a right shoulder strain.
It's no spring chicken. He's been around. He's 33 years old. This is his 16th professional season. It's amazing. In the case, his case here, he had Tommy John in 2013. There's a little breakdown on his pre and post surgery numbers. They always say you can actually come back from Tommy John and actually been better. That's absolutely the case for him.
Jake Bauers leading things off, hit it on a line to right field, but Mookie caught it in the first inning. Former San Diego Padres prospect, and got a very nice swing. So they're eyeing him for the future. Got him at first base today. He's left-handed. Of course he has a nice swing. Every left-hander who ever picked up a bat has a beautiful swing. At least it feels like it. Rodriguez falling behind the 3-0 and drills in a strike. Right there. Prettiest swing maybe ever invented. Andrew Benintendi's got an absolutely gorgeous swing.
Yes, he does. Well, number 9 swing was pretty and did some serious damage.
A little bit of damage, yeah. What did he drive in as a rookie? 145? As a rookie? Probably weighed about 130 pounds. And that'll be ball 4. So Bowers is on to lead off the 4th inning. Coates will be next. So Brian Johnson roughed up in the 1st inning to the tune of 3 runs and 3 hits, but then settled in the next 2 innings. He was really good. Struck out the side in the 2nd. Got a double play ball after an error in the 3rd inning.
He did settle in a little bit. He needed that. Here's the guys that Johnson struck out and how he got it. That one was nasty on the outer half, right on the black. And that was pretty much the same pitch, and you're unable to hit that pitch. And just threw that fastball right by him. You can see what he was trying to do, especially to the right-handed hitters, is live on that outer corner.
But the 3 runs hurt him right away.
Yeah, you know, it took him some time to get the feel for the mound there and get a feel for the ball game, and his pitches early on were out over the middle of the plate, and they got jumped on. And that was kind of the philosophy that Tony La Russa was talking to us about the other day, where you start quick. Get up there and start quick before anyone has a chance to settle into a game.
Coach struck out looking his first time up. Nobody out, a man aboard, runner goes, and it's fouled away. You know, they say spring training is just about getting ready. The results don't mean a whole lot. What happens in spring training games don't mean a whole lot, but sometimes they mean a little bit more. And we're talking about Brian Johnson today, and this is a step up in terms of expectations for him in his bid to make that 5 spot. And just reading about a little bit of a confrontation yesterday in spring training, and it was just a batter-pitcher thing between the Dodgers and the Angels. And Ohtani, the new signee from Japan, the superstar from Japan, faced Clayton Kershaw for the first time. Now, Ohtani, anybody could have signed him. In the end, he chose not to play for the Dodgers, but to play for the Angels. And Kershaw at one time was quoted as saying he was excited about potentially having him with Los Angeles, with the Dodgers. He decided to take an offer from the enemy and go with the Angels. And yesterday, Kershaw struck him out with a nasty curveball. And later said, you know, yeah, I wanted to show him that. But, hey, he didn't sign with us, so basically, you know, this is what's coming, in effect.
Yeah.
Kind of along those lines.
Kershaw can do that to almost anybody.
And often does. You know, more than just about anybody. He's incredible. But it was a little bit of, you know, an L.A. thing.
Yeah.
You know, Southern California thing. Like, okay, you didn't want to come with us? You want to go with the Angels? Okay, fine. You know, I'm going to get a little nasty here.
And you're right about that. I mean, spring training means different things for different players that are down here. I mean, for me, spring training was always another year that I had to prove that I belonged on the team. And that's what Johnson's trying to do. Spring training means a lot more to him than it does for, you know, Hanley Ramirez. And what do we call that down here in spring training, you and I? You know, if you're going to make the team and everything's cool, you're just working on things. Hanley Ramirez can work on getting his timing ready. He can work on refining his skills at third base or first base over there. He doesn't have to worry about making the club. Brian Johnson's trying to make this team.
Yeah, so much riding on it, and that's in there for a called strike on Wendell, who grounded to second first time. Yeah, completely different ends of the spectrum. It's a great observation about the difference between, you know, a Brian Johnson who has maybe a pathway to make the club, but it's all about what he does today and what he does a few days from now. As a runner goes, a little topper here and a little bobble on the infield. So everybody's going to be safe. The Red Sox do not get an out on the dribbler by Wendell.
Tough play here because everybody's out of position with the runner going. You see Nunez headed up the middle to cover the base. He has to try to make an adjustment. Here comes Bogaerts, who was covering second base as well, coming all the way across to the other side. Couldn't field that ball cleanly in time to get the out.
So first and second, and one away for the Rays and Christian Arroyo.
I think to cap that conversation, OB, I mean, you were exactly right. For some people, spring training means a whole heck of a lot.
Means everything. Opportunity to play in the big leagues, maybe for the first time in your life, and achieve that dream. Or it could be the end of the line as far as your major league hopes and dreams. Arroyo 0 for 1. He struck out in the second. He was acquired from the San Francisco Giants in the Evan Longoria trade. In fact, he's from the Tampa Bay area. Red Sox looking to turn 2 again as they did in the third inning. They'll throw to second base. 3-2 Tampa Bay. Red Sox have out hit them 5-4. And the 2-0 from Rodriguez. And you know, the guys who are in that boat, like a Brian Johnson, who are trying to make the team, or a Zhu Wei Lin, they wear it different too on their face every day than, as you mentioned, a Hanley or a Xander or Mookie Betts, who know they're going to be in that everyday lineup. Runners go, both on the move, and no throw by Swihart. So a double steal for Tampa Bay as they get aggressive.
Well, they're running wild here in this inning. Number one, the guys on the base paths can run a little bit. Number two, Rodriguez not doing a great job of holding runners. Guys getting great jumps. Swihart right now doesn't have a play anywhere.
Three and one on Arroyo. Infield in for the Sox here. And a 3-1. Shot foul.
It's also one of the things that Alex Cora will be looking for, Dave, is how they wear it. Let me see how you handle the pressure of trying to make a ball club. You know, all these guys that are trying to make it, how do they react as opposed to the other guy that's trying to make it?
Pop down the right field line. That'll sail foul.
You could at times say that the pressure on a guy like Lynn to make this ball club is far greater than the pressure he'll face when he actually plays in the big leagues. He's done it before. Trying to get on the team might be more pressure than actually playing for the team when you get there. There's some guys that don't handle that very well and never get to the big leagues.
3-2. Check swing. Did he offer? He did. That's strike three. Arroyo fans for the second time. Rodriguez with a big K there. So now they'll back up on the infield.
Arroyo didn't think he went here. Let's show you the replay of it. And that's a swing, my friend. In the old American League about 20 years ago, maybe that wasn't a swing, but it is now.
Now the number 9 man, Malik Smith. 0 for 1. He whiffed in the second. Red Sox with a lot of regulars today. Jackie Bradley, Mookie Betts, Xander Bogaerts, Hanley Ramirez, and Eduardo Nunez, not to mention J.D. Martinez for the second day in a row. J.D.'s 2 for 2.
Alex Cora said J.D. likes to play in 3 games in a row down here in spring training. He wants to get as many at-bats as he can. He said he wanted 60 to 80 at-bats. That's not going to happen. unless he goes down to the minor league fields on days where he's not playing, and sometimes they'll let those guys get an at-bat every inning. You can get 8 at-bats in a day.
Of course, his appearance was delayed because of all the medicals, that process which dragged on for several days.
Alex Cora said that sim game that he played in 2 days ago counts as one of the games, so this would be his 3rd in a row. He'll probably get the day off tomorrow.
And a 1-1 to Smith. Hammer to left field. That's going to drop down. 1 run is in. Here comes Wendell around. The throw to the plate. He gets in. Down to second base, Smith. 2 more runs on the board for Tampa Bay. They now lead it 5-2. So Smith going to the opposite field very smoothly there for a 2-run hit.
Yeah, good looking swing right here. Takes the ball away from him. It's about shoulder high. He keeps his hands above it, hammers it down the line, and then a play at the plate here, which is interesting. The old days, you know, Swihart would have tried to block this plate as much as he could. This way, he's kind of playing with the ball, just kind of backpedaling it on it, doing whatever he could to actually make a play. The big problem was it was just a little late.
Now they've got him in a rundown here. Smith trying to get back. Lynn lunges and gets him, and that will retire the side, but not before the Rays strike for a couple of more runs. Malik Smith dropping in a 2-run base hit. It's now 5-2 Tampa Bay in the 4th. Five-2 Tampa Bay in the bottom of the 4th inning. It's a busy day on NESN this Saturday afternoon at 1 on NESN Plus. We'll have live coverage of the Red Sox Twins game at Hammond Stadium. Coverage of the Blackhawks Bruins game will start at the same time live on NESN. Bees loading up for a deep run for the Stanley Cup. Ryan Yarbrough coming out of the bullpen now, left-hander for the Rays. He relieves Chris Archer with the first 3.
Good year at Durham last year, 13-6 with an ERA of about 3.43.
Zhu Wei Lin, the 24-year-old from Taiwan, will lead things off for the Red Sox here in the 4th inning. 5 runs, 6 hits for Tampa Bay. 2 runs, 5 hits for the Sox. And one of the hottest hitters in camp for the Red Sox not playing today. That one toward the hole, picked off by Bowers, and he'll feed it in time. Andrew Benintendi has hit safely in each of his last 10 Grapefruit League games, including all 8 this spring.
Oh, are we going back to last spring, counting those?
We are. At least I am.
Wow. Here's Benny's home run on Sunday. You and I called that game. They went back-to-back, he and Devers.
He crushed that. And Devers hit a seed.
Yeah, this was a big home run that he hit up in the air, and then Devers turned around and hit a line drive right out of the place.
And when you talk about the youthful core of the Red Sox, and Benintendi's right in the middle of that. You can't help but project and get excited about those projections. Sometimes they can be dangerous. I know you don't want to put too much in terms of expectations on anybody, but for Benny, you're talking about now into his 3rd major league season, and he's put on some added size. He knows the pitchers. He knows the ballparks. The sky's the limit.
And you know what? You think he cares about added expectations?
It doesn't seem to bother him in the least.
He's just like, let's go play.
Yeah. As his teammates say, he is a ball player. Tavares tops it past the mound. Wendell, tough chance. Well done there. 2 up and 2 down. And Mookie will be next. Looking for his 2nd hit of the day. He had a base hit in the 1st, and he flied out to center in the 2nd. Mookie has led the Red Sox in wins above replacement each of his 3 full major league seasons. And he'll look at a strike. He had a very entertaining reaction to his first base hit of the spring. Eyes and hands to the heavens.
He was thanking a lot of people.
Yeah. Hitters are funny, man, aren't they? I mean, we're talking about spring training. We're talking about one of the great talents in baseball today. And he's leaning on over 16 like it's a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we were talking about, is that no one was worried about it except him. He goes home. He's like, hey, I want to get hits anytime I can get a hit. And here it is. And if it wasn't him running down the line, this probably wouldn't have been a hit. Oh, thank you. Look at Tommy Goodwin coming over. Big hug.
His teammates were doing the same thing over on the bench. Red Sox are on the 3rd base side here.
Thought he was going to ask for the ball. Yeah, I mean, it's easy to sit back and say, it's Mookie Betts. We know he's going to be okay.
Which is what I've been telling you. And that one hit toward the alley, but Coates will be there to run it down and retire the side. Red Sox go in order. Still 5-2 Tampa Bay at the end of 4.
Welcome back to Spring Training Baseball, where the Red Sox trail the Tampa Bay Rays 5-2 here in the top of the 5th inning. And on Wednesday, guys, the Arizona Diamondbacks announced that they'd become the first major league team to utilize the bullpen ride, an actual vehicle taking players from the bullpen to the mound since 1995. So that prompted a column by the Boston Herald and columnist Steve Buckley, who got to asking the Red Sox front office about this very thing. Of course, you may remember it was a fixture at Fenway Park in the 70s and 80s, but CEO Sam Kennedy says that the team is in no position right now to utilize that in the 2018 season, but says they haven't exactly ruled it out. They're going to talk to the players. They'd like to get some reaction on it. But I actually, personally, I don't think that it'd be a good idea right now, because when you got a guy like Craig Kimbrell, he seems to fire up the place when he exits the bullpen, takes that nice hop, and he finally makes his way onto the mound. What do you guys think?
That's a fair point. I grew up with it, though. A high fly, that's a towering drive off the bat of Field here. And back to play the carom, Jackie Bradley, and he'll trot into second base with his second double of the day. What do you think?
I thought it used to be kind of cool to see him cruise in there, but I think a lot of the guys now, they use that time from the bullpen to the mound to kind of get themselves reeled back in and mentally ready to pitch. So it was a little bit more of a spectacle, I think, than anything else.
I'm sure some people out there are like, professional athlete, what does he need a ride in for?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it was just a way. I think back then it was a way for a team to get an extra advertisement, you know, on the side of the bullpen.
Sure,
card, you know?
Absolutely.
Sponsored by.
Echeverria has singled in a run and reached on an error.
It certainly wasn't to speed up the game. I mean, it's got to take them longer to drive, because they drive along the outfield. They go around the warning track, basically.
Not driving onto the diamond, so yeah.
Takes you longer to get there than if he just walked in.
I grew up with it, though. I kind of like it. I remember it very fondly. 95 was the last time, huh? Well, Marrero now into the ballgame handles the soft roller onto first base. That'll advance Field over to third. So Eduardo Nunez getting into a game for the first time. Got some chances at second base and a couple of at-bats as well. Duffy will be next. He has walked and hit into a double play. Red Sox will reel in the infield. 5-2 Tampa Bay.
Do you remember any of those cards?
You know, I do vaguely. It's been a long time.
I know. It's like I'm having trouble remembering what they looked like, because they all had kind of their own personality. It wasn't like some guy cruised in on a golf cart.
I like the ones that were painted with seams on them. Painted like a baseball.
Yeah, I remember. I think the Dodger one is still in the hallways of the stadium. It's a big baseball with the seams, and you sat in there. It basically is a golf cart, but you're sitting in there.
0-1 from Rodriguez, and a strike. I'm all for throwbacks. If it's going to speed up the game. If in fact the reverse is true, no.
I can't see how it would speed up the game.
We're only talking seconds anyway, right?
I think these days too, not to say that there's more attitude in the game than there was back then, but I would say there's a certain number of pitchers that would say, I'm not getting in that thing. I'm running straight to the mound. You can take your little victory lap if you want to, but I'm not getting in it.
Now, of course, the major initiative this year to speed up the pace of play is reducing mound visits, limiting them to 6 per team per 9 innings. We'll see what kind of effect that has. Another trickler here. Fair ball. A scoop and a fire to first base, and in time to get him. Nice play by Lynn there as a run comes in to score.
Lynn makes the right decision here. You're not going to get Field on this small, slow roller. And then he had to adjust the way he fielded that ball in order to throw it to Ramirez. Now, that's not his natural position, third base. So once again, he's showing his versatility, bouncing around, playing different positions, and making all the plays.
But a run crossing home plate as Field scores to make it 6-2, and now it'll be Wilson Ramos who doubled in a pair of runs his first time up, 1 for 2 today.
Big shift on for Ramos. Everyone sliding to the left side. Look where Hanley is, out in the middle of nowhere.
Tried to hold up, and he did.
See, I think it'll be interesting to watch Hanley on this play, just because I know he's going to take a few looks over at first base saying, man, They hit a sharp one hopper right at Lynn. He's going to throw the ball to first base before I get over there.
Now he has additional time to get over there because of the guy at the plate. And Wilson Ramos, the catcher, 30-year-old catcher. But there's got to be a little sense of panic given how far away you are.
Yeah, you're just like, wow, I might not get over there. Plus, if that scenario comes up, one hopper to Lynn, he's got to adjust. He's going to have to wait a little bit longer. Throws off your rhythm a little bit. You have to take an extra crow hop before you throw it. There's a lot of reasons where bad things can happen. It's not the normal rhythm of the game.
A good count for Ramos, 11 home runs last year. Catcher from Venezuela. He'll be their number 1. He'll take ball 4. So Ramos aboard. Jake Bauers will be next. 6-2, the Rays. Yesterday was a tough day for the Sox. They dropped a pair of split squad games, 2-1 against the Phillies, and the loss here to Minnesota at JetBlue, which got away early. Yankees are now 10-2 for the spring. They've had one visit here to JetBlue.
Now the shift goes to the other side of the field. And this is that situation, OP, that Bogarts was talking to me about, where he becomes a second baseman. He doesn't really like being a second baseman. Every shortstop, they know the play is going to be facing them, in front of them. As a second baseman, there's a lot of plays around the second base bag where your back is turned to the runner and to the first baseman. They don't like that too much. There's a lot of middle infielders that have played both, but not Xander. He's a shortstop. And if this was a one-out situation, he would be relied on to be a double play combination with Lynn, who's technically the third baseman. And that's something that Xander said he really has to work on because it's very awkward for him.
It's taken a lot of us getting used to looking at the defensive shifts like that. And now it's become so commonplace to look at the diamond and there's no third baseman.
Yep.
You know?
Nothing. And someone has a responsibility to get there if there's a dribbler or something, and Ramos decides to go all the way to third.
Bounced, and a good stop there by Blake Swihart to hold that runner at first. Not that Ramos would be taken off, but didn't get by him.
No. Something that Swihart's worked very hard at here. That was really his biggest deficiency behind the plate. Said he didn't block balls well. He's getting 100 times better at it.
Bowers with some power.
So this play, obviously, if there's a ground ball hit to Lynn, who's technically the third baseman playing short, it's a lot easier play for Xander because it's just a force play at second. You don't need a double play. You got 2 outs right now.
Two down, a runner at first and a 2-2. Jammed him. Nice scoop there by Hanley down on a knee. And that will retire the side. 1 run in, now 6-2 Tampa Bay halfway through. cover here at the moment when the sun's out. Very, very comfortable. Temperatures in the middle and upper 60s today at JetBlue Park. Red Sox taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. A lot of smiles here in spring training. Great time of year, especially if you can get the family down. Would love to see you. Steve would love to see you.
Even if you're a Rays fan.
Even if you're a Rays fan, you are welcome. Now Marrero will get his first at bat since coming on to relieve Nunez at second base. Hanley Ramirez next, and JD Martinez scheduled to follow as the DH today. Facing the left-hander Yarbrough, and that'll be ball one. Umpires getting in on it too. Spring training for them as well, and that's Field and Culbreth. It's a regular big league umpire behind a plate, along with Jeff Kellogg and Marvin Hudson, who are working on this crew today. Tomorrow, Chris Sale is on the hill at 105 against the Marlins over in Jupiter. And then on Saturday, David Price on the hill right here at JetBlue at 105. We'll have that for you on Nesson. Here's the 3-1.
I meant to ask Jerry that he watched Price in that little sim game that he threw, and he said he looked great. Now, we haven't seen the big velocity David Price. He won 17 games in his first year here, and people were saying that that was a subpar year for him. And then the next year, velocity was down, injury, a lot of stuff going on.
Well, he saw it out of the bullpen last year.
Yeah. Late, yes.
Late in the season. In the postseason, he was bringing it at 97.
But yeah, but as a guy that knew that he was only going to throw 1 or 2 innings, now you come out there and you got to be a starter and you're hoping to go 7 again. That's what I'd hope to see. The command and velocity that he used to have.
Wendell, the second baseman, with the catch. One man out. Let's go to Jemai.
Well, Dave, it's been a off-season of change in the American League East with the influx of new managers, obviously here in Boston with Alex Cora and in New York with Aaron Boone. And Kevin Cash has been a staple in this division now. He's been with the Tampa Bay Rays since 2015, and he's the youngest manager in Major League Baseball. Alex Cora is the 3rd youngest, and it's now comprised of managers who have obviously played against each other during their playing careers or played against each other. And Cora talked about that being an exciting moment for him facing Kevin Cash, even though it's during spring training, and says they probably know each other's tendencies because they've talked quite a bit during the time that they were playing against each other. But it's a cool thing in that, as what he used, average players were able to extend their careers into baseball and stay in the game, first as managers or coaches, and then obviously Kevin Cash was a scout with the Rays before he became their manager, and then Cora had a TV career before he decided to return to coaching with the Houston Astros and now as the manager of the Red Sox. So it's an interesting dynamic what's taking place.
Hard hit by Hanley Ramirez. Hit some nice swings today. And Hanley on with a solid single with one away. Yeah, it is interesting that, you know, the young guys taking over as managers in the same division over these last several years, particularly this season now, Boone and Alex Cora, who go back and they're pals as well, and they work together at ESPN. You're talking about 40, 41, 42 years old.
Still waiting for my call to become a manager right out of the booth, I guess.
JD Martinez is 2 for 2 today with a pair of singles both to right field.
It's an interesting trend when you see the young managers, and there's Cash right there, still the youngest manager in the game, and he's got a bunch of years under his belt already. But this new trend of no experience, hand over the reins.
Another base hit. Shot through the hole. They're playing him to pull. Hanley's rounding. He's heading into third base, very alertly into third. And the Red Sox have him on the corners. JD Martinez 3 for 3.
Yep, and every one of his hits the other way. Boy, that is a good looking inside out swing. Again, playing him with a big shift on, and he's saying, as long as you're going to play over there, I know I can hit it over there, so I'll just keep doing it.
And Hanley taking off and safely to third.
Maybe the Rays are saying, we'll give you that base hit over there. We don't want you to hit it over the wall.
One down, Xander Bogaerts, 1 for 2 today with a single. Hits are even at 7 apiece. And Hanley jackknife, strike 1. Should say Xander. Hanley at third. JD Martinez at first. Xander now with 8 hits and 17 at bats this spring. And the 0-1. Oh, 2.
Keep a good eye on Xander's swings and how upright he is when he swings the bat. That's what they're trying to get him to stand up and tall over the ball. Don't bend at the waist so often as so many of the swings we saw over the last couple of seasons.
Rocket into left field. That's going to keep on rolling to the warning track up against the fence. Hanley Ramirez in to score. Martinez to third. It's 2 bases for Xander, his second hit today. Now 6-3.
Pretty good example right there, OB, of what we're talking about with Xander. Here you are from the side. Look at how tall he is, especially when he makes contact. There's no bend in that upper body. That's presenting yourself tall and up over the ball, and he just hammers that ball into left field. It's a good adjustment and a big difference in his swing this year.
He's been looking good. Closing in on Swihart for the club lead in hits. Only 1 off that right now. Yarbrough done. So Cash will go to his bullpen again. We'll take the break. Red Sox trying to build something big here in the 5th inning. 6-3 Tampa Bay, and more in a moment. A great special tomorrow on Boston 25 Sports In Depth. Butch Stearns will have a great feature on Dustin Pedroia, how he's bouncing back from surgery, his thoughts on leadership, who might emerge as leaders on this Red Sox team. Don't miss it. Boston 25 Sports In Depth tomorrow night at 10:30. Well, Sox with a run in, second and third. Jackie Bradley the batter. Matt Andrews coming out of the bullpen, a right-hander. Much of his season last year disrupted because of a hip injury. He missed a lot of games, about half the season. Jackie with a ground ball to short. Looked at third, throw to first is in time as JD Martinez comes in to score, and the Red Sox get a little bit closer on the RBI by JBJ.
And go.
Arroyo took a look at third base, thought about it for a moment. He got the certain out at first base, so with a man at third and 2 down, that'll send up Blake Swihart.
I wonder if he didn't think Duffy was covering. See, Duffy's not really got to third base in time, so he had to double clutch over there and then went on to first base. And he had no real chance at throwing home.
Blake with a walk and a fly to left. Big off season for Andries, as he got married in December, 4 days after Christmas.
Late Christmas present, I guess.
Honeymoon at Lake Tahoe. Lovely Lake Tahoe.
Tell him what he's won.
Oh, 2.
You know, every team has injury problems. Certainly the Red Sox went through their share, but has a team been more hurt by the injuries to their pitching staff over the years than this Tampa Bay team? When you talk about going back to where they thought they had a big three with Archer and Cobb and Moore. Cobb and Moore have never been able to stay healthy. I don't think either one of them are either on the club anymore. Andries last year missed half the season.
Yep, both those guys are gone.
They could never get any momentum going because their pitching staff could never stay healthy.
And yet when they were healthy and really saw some guys begin to become stars, like when David Price was on their staff, they were brutally tough to score against. And they always seemed to find bullpen guys.
Yeah.
Closers, setup guys. They did a great job with that.
They thought they were going to be a good club and a good pitching staff for the next 10 years.
Bogarts leading off third, 2 down, and the 2-2 to Blake Swihart. Strike 3, and the side is retired. Red Sox get a couple of runs, though. It's now a 6-4 game here at Fort Myers. Red Sox get a little bit closer here on the spring training day. Top half of the 6th inning. Packed house here at JetBlue, as is always the case. Red Sox continue to sell out game after game.
Every game since they opened the doors, correct?
It is correct.
Wow. 7 years.
Darwinzon Hernandez, you see his numbers at A-ball last year at Greenville. Did make 23 starts, over 100 innings of work. Left-hander. And he'll become the 3rd Red Sox pitcher this afternoon. A couple of other changes for Boston. That is Steve Selski now in center field. Barfield taking over in right for Mookie Betts. Travis taking over for Hanley at first. Hanley just got a knock. And DeJesus taking over at shortstop for Xander Bogaerts, who singled and doubled. Red Sox have 8 hits to 7 for Tampa Bay. And the left-hander to work.
This kid can wing it. Problem is most young pitchers have, especially even if they're left-handed, is throwing enough strikes.
Coach today 0 for 2. He's been called out twice on strikes. Tampa Bay struck for 3 right away in the top of the first, and the Red Sox have been playing catch-up since then. Talking to some of our Nesson pals today about 12 or 13 inches of snow with this storm. In there for strike 3, and that's the 3rd time today he will find the bat rack after being called out on strikes.
Hernandez, that fastball 95 miles an hour.
Joey Wendell next. He's 1 for 2 with a base hit.
Nothing fancy right here. It's pretty much coming right at you. Fastball, good location. Outer half. See you later. Opie, he's one of those guys you can just tell. He's got a real compact delivery, just kind of rocks back and fires it. He's like, I have a good fastball, and here it comes. Not messing around.
Now, you like the quick delivery, too. He gets it and he throws it pretty much.
This is what I want to see right here. Got you 0-2. Let's see what kind of slider he's got. Maybe he'll run one up under his chin first and then come back with the slider.
Hernandez 6'2", about $185 from Venezuela. Enters this season ranked by Baseball America as the Red Sox #6 prospect. You mentioned that fastball ranked the best in the Red Sox minor league system.
I was looking at the travel roster for the Rays, and it just seems like a lot of teams are going this way. There was not one pitcher that the Rays brought here today. One pitcher was less than 6'2" on their entire staff. Every guy that they brought over here. Some big boys throwing the ball these days.
Yeah, big guys with big fastballs more than ever before, it feels like. Lighten up that radar gun. 2-2. Up the middle. Sliding stab. The gun. Travis has it skip off the glove. DeJesus getting to it, but did not get the out. And a base runner for Tampa Bay.
This is a pretty good play by DeJesus. Showed some nice range. Got up to watch Hernandez. Ooh, see him reach out his hand. He thought about grabbing that ball barehanded. He thought better of it.
So Wendell will be on with a base hit. That'll send up to shortstop Christian Arroyo, who has fanned twice. Off speed, but he missed with that one, and the count moves to 2-0. We talked about the play in the second inning where Eduardo Nunez, playing second base, really made a nice rangy play and flipped on to first base, and the throw got by, and they had an error originally on it. They've taken that away and now made it a hit.
Makes sense.
I think largely because Steve chastised the call.
Yeah, that's probably it.
And I mean for about 15 minutes. So you did your deed for the day.
That's right. I got somebody a hit. Usually it's the opposite. I'm usually crying about how many hits they pass out. It's like, come on, this is the big leagues. You're supposed to make that play. That was a tough play.
I think it was a tough play. Should have been a base hit.
Yeah, but in general, oh gosh, what was it? A game? Was I watching or were we doing it? I can't even remember. It was like a two hopper to the third baseman, and he kicked it, and they gave him a hit.
Wendell aboard and the 2-2 from the lefty. Yeah, Chris Sale scheduled to pitch tomorrow against the Marlins. Brandon Workman as well. And then on Saturday, the next time we televise, we mentioned David Price, but also Joe Kelly, Matt Barnes, Carson Smith, Robbie Scott are scheduled to go. It'll be here at JetBlue against Minnesota. I'm sorry, actually, that's at Minnesota. It's at Hammond Field.
Yep. Oh, B, you mentioned they got Arroyo in that deal. They traded away. Do you know if they project him as a shortstop moving forward?
Yeah, I believe they do.
Looks a little
stocky,
a little thick. Yeah, to be a quick little shortstop.
They're in real good shape there right now with Echeverria, who started today as the designated hitter, but he's their everyday shortstop, and he's really good.
And much more of a lean, lanky look to Echeverria than Arroyo projects to me like a third baseman or a left fielder.
I think there's a lot of upside with him wherever they're going to wind up playing him. Again, acquired from the Giants when Longoria went to San Francisco. Punched to third, Lynn to second, one on to first two. Red Sox have turned a couple today. That one very smoothly done. Catch Boston 25 Sports in depth tomorrow. Tom Lydon has the story of U.S. Olympian, Harvard hockey player, and Bruins draft pick Ryan Donato. Ryan's facing a tough decision. Continue to play for his dad, who was signed with the Bruins before their playoff run. It's Boston 25 Sports in depth tomorrow night at 10:30. Tampa Bay on top here, 6-4 at JetBlue. Last half of the sixth inning. Zue Lin is flied to right, grounded out. He's 0 for 2. Red Sox made several changes in the last couple of innings. But Lin remaining at third base. Hit .268 last year in 25 games with Boston. First taste of the majors. Acquitted himself very well.
Well, you don't mean to beat it to death, but we have been talking at length of the guys that may or may not make this club. Lynn's one of those guys trying to fight his way onto a ball club, trying to make an impression at a bunch of different positions. third base is not his #1 position, but made a great play already today, and then started that last double play with a cleanly fielded ball and a perfect throw to second to turn it over. Doing nothing to hurt his chances, that's for sure.
0-2 to Lynn. A wave and a miss. He chased that one. One gone in the Red Sox 6th inning, and Tavares will be next.
Seems like the pitch that eats up most left-handers is a good changeup from a righty.
Peter Maris now at first base for Tampa Bay. Velasquez the new shortstop. Andrew Velasquez. And Eury Tavares 0 for 2, but he has driven in a run. RBI ground out in the second to bring in Jackie Bradley, who had doubled. And Steve Selski is on deck. Tavares, a 25-year-old left-hand hitter. He's a non-roster invitee. Missed most of last season to injury, but when he was healthy at AA Portland 2 years ago, he hit .335. Played about 100 games.
Those are big numbers at AA. You can see that happening in A-ball or rookie league or something. But
2-2.
we're giving him a long look too. He's getting a lot of at bats. He's getting the opportunity to play in the outfield.
Bases empty, one down. Andres has that one knocked into right field for a base hit. So Tavares is on with one away for Boston. So Steve will get his first at bat today. Steve Selski. Sox have been getting their hits today. They have 9 of them. Mentioned Jackie Bradley with a double. JD Martinez 3 for 3 today, all singles. Xander Bogaerts drove in a run with a double. He went 2 for 3. And Ramirez hit the ball hard today. So all good signs with the regulars in there. And they face Chris Archer. He got the start today for Tampa Bay. He's their number 1.
Got a couple of runs against him.
So Tavares on. He takes off. Here's the throw down, the tag, and he's out.
Ooh, wow.
2 down.
That's a close call right there. I thought the throw beat him, but I didn't think he got the tag down in time. Tags him up on the knee.
He said he was safe. Of course, there's no review in spring training.
Oh. Well, maybe he wishes he could review it on his own and he'd just stay out there on second base. Say, no, I was safe. I'm going to stay here.
Yeah, see Zue said, let's
go to the headsets.
Let's go to the review. He's got a point.
I don't know. What'd you think? I thought he was in there.
I thought he was in. I thought he was safe.
The throw was up a little bit. It looked like the throw beat him, but he just didn't get the tag down quick enough.
Two down, and that one lofted into center field, and Field will cover the ground to make the play. I, for one, am delighted there's no review in spring training. The end of 6-4 at Tampa Bay.
Since the beginning,
Moving on to the top half of the 7th inning here at JetBlue Park, the home of the Boston Red Sox. Tampa Bay leading 6-4. Steve Lyons, Dave O'Brien with you. And that's a name from the past. Tommy Lane trying to make the ball club in 2018. And see Tommy's numbers at the AAA level last year, 2.92 ERA for the veteran lefty. Number of changes here for the Red Sox. Swihart now out of the ball game. Ray the new catcher. And a bunt attempt. Smith got it down, but Lane will handle the chance and get him with the flip. Rusney Castillo is the new left fielder. Miller is Mike Miller at third base. Rusney in left. So the regulars have departed. They got their work in today. Tell you what, Malik Smith was one determined man to bunt today, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was going to get a bunt down no matter what. He came to the park today, as you said, you know, looking on what to work on today, and bunting was number one.
That was number one in his first at bat and number one in his third at bat.
Slap to right. Barfield there. 2 down. And Sullivan will bat next. So both sides going full scale with changes here the last couple of innings. Tampa Bay on top 6-4. They grabbed a 3-0 lead after the first half inning. It was against Brian Johnson, who got roughed up for the only time so far this spring. Gave up 3 runs, 3 hits. Lane with a 1-1, and it ran in under the elbow. Red Sox open up the regular season on the 29th of this month against these Rays at Tropicana Field. That'll be a 4-game series, and the Red Sox go to Miami for 2. The home opener against the Rays on the 5th of March, and the Red Sox will not be done with them after all that early activity at the very end of April. Another series against Tampa Bay at Fenway.
They'll get to know him well.
That is for sure.
All the players on Tampa Bay that we don't know now, we will know intimately after those 10 games.
And by the third week, the end of the third week in May, the Red Sox will have played them 13 times already. Another series at Tropicana in May.
Won't see them the rest of the year. Only have like what, 5?
Yeah, about 6 more left.
6 more games with them. 1 series each place probably at that point.
Red Sox will see a lot of the National League East as well, as that one will just miss for ball 4 on Sullivan. So he's on with 2 down. Red Sox have an early West Coast swing as well in April. On April 17th, heading to Anaheim to take on the Angels. After that series, it's on to Oakland. So get one of those swings out of the way pretty quickly.
Then back to Toronto or something like that, isn't that?
Yeah, Toronto on that same trip. There are a lot of long trips this year.
That's what makes it bad, is that then you have to go back out to the West Coast again to see Seattle.
Yes. The very popular Baltimore to Seattle to Minnesota trip. That comes up in June. Red Sox have the Braves and the Mets on the schedule. As far as interleague games, along with Washington, that very good Nationals ball club, terrific team. How much longer for Bryce Harper in our nation's capital? Be a free agent next year.
Well, he doesn't want to stay there that long, because then everyone would make the bad joke that they make about everybody that plays too long. What, are you going to run for office? Any guy that spends too much time at AAA, oh, he's going to run for mayor.
I wonder if he'll.
Harper's going to go for the big money somewhere else.
Or there. I don't know why they couldn't pay him.
He may want some brighter lights. For as good a team as Washington is, they don't get to play with the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Dodgers.
Yep. Ooh. Ground ball, and Marrero, it started to his right and it shot past him. Here's the throw by Barfield into third base, but they're going to be on the corners on the single by Duffy.
Well, the runner was on the move, and that's why. Well, he wasn't on the move. He just got fooled right there. I thought he had got a great jump. It's just a bad reaction. Marrero went the wrong way when that ball was hit. He had to have lost the ball off the bat. You don't go the wrong way chasing it if you know where it is. That was strange. I initially thought that he was heading towards second base, thinking that the runner was on the move trying to steal.
So that'll bring up Snyder for his first at bat today, and he'll look at a strike. First and third and 2 down, 9 hits apiece. Snyder with the Syracuse Chiefs. For the 8 minutes in Syracuse, it's not snowing every year.
This past 8 minutes probably wasn't one of those.
No. My junior year as a student at Syracuse University, that January, it snowed every single day that month. Every day. And I kid you not, you woke up every morning, it was snowing. So for 4 straight weeks, every day it snowed.
Any accumulation?
Oh, my God.
It was 9 feet tall outside.
They'd have to carve paths out across the quad, and the snow was hip high. Incredible. But they get up every morning. They never cancel school. People go to work. They go to class. They get their running in.
Tommy Lane was looking for that big breaking ball for a called third strike. He didn't get it.
Tampa Bay ahead 6-4 here in the 7th inning. And the veteran lefty got him to cut and miss for strike 3, so he gets out of that jam. Stranding 2. Fans will stretch. Tampa Bay by 2. Last of the 7th on the way, 6-4 Tampa Bay. It's a great special tomorrow on Boston 25 Sports In Depth. Butch Stearns with a feature on Dustin Pedroia, how Petey's bouncing back from surgery, his thoughts on leadership and who might emerge as a leader on this Red Sox team. Don't miss Boston 25 Sports In Depth tomorrow night at 10:30. It is Colton Murray, new pitcher for the Rays here as we go to the bottom of the 7th. And Devin Marrero about to lead things off here.
Murray spent the year in Lehigh Valley last season with an ERA of north of 5.5.
Marrero 1 at bat so far today. He's popped to second. Off first base, and that'll sail on out of play. Devin with 4 home runs in 71 games last year. Of course, 2 of those came in 1 game at Chicago against the White Sox. And the 0-1 from Murray. DeJesus on deck. It was a good day for J.D. Martinez. 3 singles for the Sox this afternoon. Picked up his first RBI as well in the spring. 1-2. He golfed a chopper. And in time to get him.
Pretty impressive to watch J.D. Martinez just take what the opposition gave him. They kept shifting on him. He just kept hitting the ball the other way through the second base area for base hits after base hits.
DeJesus now hitting in his spot in the lineup. Butler on deck. Wholesale changes for the Red Sox. Actually, be Butler hitting in Martinez's spot. DeJesus batting at what was Hanley's spot. Hanley had a couple of good swings today. Base hit. He also hit a bullet to center that was caught. Six runs on 9 hits for Tampa Bay. 4 runs on 9 hits for the Red Sox. And a 1-0. Ooh, that got him. Hit by the pitch, so DeJesus is aboard. Red Sox with a base runner here in the 7th. So Dan Butler, the veteran catcher, will look to keep that 4th spot in the batting order perfect today. 259 last year at AAA. Red Sox gunning for a 3rd consecutive American League East title. Winning in 2016 and 17. That marked the first time since 1915 and 16 that the club finished in 1st place in consecutive years.
It's amazing to think that, isn't it?
It really is. And since the American League East was formed in 1969, the only clubs to win the division in 3 or more consecutive years were the Orioles, 69 through 71, the Yankees, 76 through 78, the Blue Jays in their glory years, 91 through 93, and then the Yankees for a bunch of years, 98 through 06. 1-2 to Butler. Last half of the 7th. Lots of sunshine again. And Murray's one of those guys who is in no real hurry to deliver the pitch.
And he's a guy that spent most of his career in the minor leagues so far, where they actually have a pitch clock.
There's a runner at first base, the hit batsman. And the 2-2. A good look there, Tom Goodwin, the new first base coach for the Red Sox. New men on the corners. Carlos Fablis now at third this year.
Maybe see some action on the bases here.
Runner goes. And it is ball 4. So Butler is on. First and second. Red Sox get something brewing here. Tom and Carlos, you running the show for Alex Cora on the bases. So that sends up Sam Travis. His swing has come to life here the last 4 or 5 days of spring training. And the breaking ball dives down and in.
When you're a guy like Sam Travis and is trying to continue that good impression that you've left in this organization, all you want is the opportunity to drive in runs when you get your chance to hit. Here it is for him.
High pop up into left field, into the sun. 2 down. And the runners will stay put at first and second.
A little bit of a breeze now blowing out to right field. Blew that ball from left field into left center field. He had to chase it a long way to go get it.
There's Ryan Bolt in left field wearing that number 82. So here's Barfield with 2 aboard and 2 down. So far 176 with 1 home run in the spring, 4 runs batted in. Rusney Castillo would bat next if given the opportunity. Red Sox looking for a 3-run jolt here, and this is a guy who can certainly deliver that. Two on and 2 down, and a right-hander with the 0-1.
Barfield looking for opportunities to show off his power. He's going to get fewer and fewer of those as spring goes on. Does have the 1 home run so far this spring training. 27 of them in AAA last year.
Base hit up the middle. Here comes the run, the throw to the home plate. They're going to let it bounce off the hill, and the Red Sox are on the board again. That'll make it 6-5. Barfield coming through, not with a home run, but a solid single right back up the middle.
That'll help. Get those RBI opportunities, drive them in when you get the chance. Nice swing straight up the middle.
So that'll bring up Rusney Castillo. Red Sox inching a little bit closer. It's been that way all day. The Sox were down 3-0, so trailing all afternoon, but another base hit could tie it.
That's the thing when you play against certain teams and they jump out to a decent sized lead on you. The hope of coming back against a good team is not so nice. But a team like Tampa Bay, with their inexperience, they jump out to a lead. You're never really out of the game. You can make a comeback against an inexperienced ball club.
Two on, two out, and Rusney takes a ball. Castillo hitting .280 for the spring. He does have 1 home run, and he's driven in 5 runs. And a 1-0 from Murray. A wave and a miss.
Yeah, Rusney's having a sneaky good spring training. You know, he's not in a lot of the conversations. He's not on the roster anymore.
Austin Ray, the catcher. Try the man on deck. Here comes the 1-1. Good stop there by the Tampa Bay receiver.
Snyder.
2-1. Butler at second. Barfield at first, and the 2-1. A good count now for Rusney. Let's see if he gets some to drive here on 3-1.
Nope.
It'll be ball 4 and load up the bases. So Austin Ry to climb in with an opportunity to do some damage. Red Sox do have 1 grand slam so far this spring training. They went all of last season without hitting one. No place to put him.
Well, they like this guy too, the way he catches. One of their best defensive catching prospects in the minor leagues right now.
Here's the 1-0. Right past everyone to the backstop. Here comes Butler in to slide and score. Barfield down to third. Red Sox have tied it at 6 on a wild one, and Murray's shown plenty of that.
You'd have to think this was getting crossed up here because the pitch wasn't that far away from Snyder, and wow, it's like he must have been expecting something else. See, he just missed it. He just missed that pitch. Red Sox will take it.
I think given the tempo of this right-hander, Snyder just fell asleep. Second and third, Red Sox trying to jump into the lead. They have knotted the score at 6 apiece. Been a hit batsman, a walk, and then that. Helping the Red Sox cause here this afternoon. And a count 3-0. And he walked him. So that will load them up again.
Yeah, it's going to bring Cash out to talk to him again, I hope.
Or to get him.
Please.
And he's taking the baseball away, so that's it for Colton Murray. leaves behind a mess, and the Red Sox with a chance to take the lead with the bases loaded, 2 down, and we'll have more in just a moment.
New
Fought back to tie this one 6-6. They're down early 3-0 today, but have been chipping away throughout the afternoon. A lot of the regulars have long since retired for the day, but Red Sox building something here. Couple of runs in to knot it up. RJ Alanis coming out of the bullpen now. Split time between AA and AAA last year. To the tune of 3-3 with a 3.20 ERA. And Mike Miller will bat. All jammed up, 2 down. Barfield, the runner at third base, and that zipped in there for strike 1.
Last year, Mike Miller was the Nuri Tavares of the Red Sox. He got a ton of at-bats in Major League Spring Training Camp. This year, hasn't seen much action. Cut all his hair off. Remember, he had longer hair, but he said it's going so gray on me, I had to cut it shorter. Try to look younger.
0-2. Bases loaded, and the 0-2 to Miller. Red Sox have not had a whole lot to swing at in this inning. They pushed across a couple of runs with just 1 hit. Last half of the 7th inning. Alani's from the set. Here's the 1-2. Chris Sale going tomorrow at Jupiter against the Marlins. He'll get the start, and then on Saturday, David Price against the Twins at 1 o'clock. 1-2. Did not offer. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Miller. Good take there.
He's working his way back. 0-2 was the count early on. Bases loaded here. Whew. I can understand why the pitcher wanted that for strike 3. It was close.
Tied up 6-6. And a 2-2 to Miller. That dribbles away, but not far enough. It does load up the count. So the string is out here. Red Sox with a man at every base, 2 down, and a full count on Miller. And the payoff pitch, runners go, and he spoiled it.
Kind of an ugly inning, no matter how you slice it. A hit by pitch, a walk, then a fly out, then a hit, and 2 more walks. Whew. Nothing you want to see if you're the defensive team. Miller trying to be a hero here.
3-2 again. And again he fought it off. Now one of the better battles of the day, certainly.
It's the kind of hitter he is. He just kind of hangs in there, slaps the ball around a little bit. He's in protect mode now after 2 strikes and doing a good job. He's had 2 strikes on him from the get-go.
Steve Selski on deck. Crowd would like a base hit. And a swing and a miss, strike 3 instead. Second time today the Red Sox leave them loaded, but they also tie it 6-6 at the end of 7. Red Sox have tied it up here 6-6 in the top half of the 8th inning. Catch Boston 25 Sports in Depth tomorrow. Tom Lydon has the story of U.S. Olympian, Harvard hockey player, and Bruins draft pick Ryan Donato. Ryan's facing a tough decision: continue to play for his dad Ted or sign with the Bruins before their playoff run. That's a Boston 25 Sports in Depth tomorrow night at 10:30. Trey Ball to make an appearance here. At the minor league level last year, 7-12, 5.27.
It's got to be a little tough for these guys that have been starters their whole career to come into spring training. You know you're not going to get a start, but you come in late into a ball game, into the 8th inning, and act like a reliever.
Trey out of Indiana. High school in 2013. He was the Gatorade Indiana Baseball Player of the Year.
Does that carry the same cachet as the Indiana Mr. Basketball?
That's a good question. I would say in the state of Indiana the answer is no, because nothing would compare to that. You know, there or Kentucky, those hoop states. Not that they don't also produce very good baseball players. They do. McCarthy will take a walk here. So the leadoff man on in the 8th inning for Tampa Bay. Trey's first name is actually Ronald Eugene Ball.
The third?
I believe he's the first, but he is a first-round draft pick.
I'm a little confused then. Why do you go by Trey if you're just the first?
It might be a nickname that he's stuck with.
Yeah.
You know? And it is very sportsy when you think about it. Trey Ball. Out of Newcastle, Indiana. Done a lot of basketball games in the state of Indiana. Bloomington, Indiana. West Lafayette, Indiana. Not easy to get to, West Lafayette, Indiana. You got to want to go to West Lafayette.
Badly.
And know the way. That's where, of course, Purdue University is. But
you're saying the GPS doesn't go out that far?
It's, you know, in a snowstorm, it shuts off. Been through a few of those, too. But great basketball stops in the Big Ten.
The old home of Gene Cady.
Gene Cady, yeah. Great guy.
Great guy. Always looked as mad as he could possibly be.
You know, he looked that way and he looked mean, and he was neither one of those things.
The nicest guy.
Great sense of humor, too. Really funny guy. And he was a great basketball coach. And then later, years after he retired from Purdue, and he had not been out of coaching, but he hadn't been coaching at the major college level and had sort of been, you know, dabbling in it. Years later, when he got an opportunity to be an assistant coach at St. John's, when Steve Lavin got that job, Lavin took him as an assistant and resuscitated his career. It's really a wonderful story. And that'll be ball 4. We've got time for a lot of stories. First and second, and nobody out.
In the last, what, 10 at-bats, we've seen a million walks, haven't we, on both sides?
Uh-huh.
Goodness.
Velasquez, the shortstop, will climb in now. Yeah, not a lot of strikes being thrown here in the late afternoon in Fort Myers. Did you grow up playing basketball?
I did.
Were you any good?
I might have been a better basketball player than I was baseball.
Really? Really?
But I realized that I wasn't going to be tall or quick enough, and I really couldn't go left all that well. But I could shoot it. And probably growing up 2 doors down from Danny Ainge didn't hurt me as far as the neighborhood kids that we played pickup basketball games with.
You grew up 2 doors down from Danny Ainge? No kidding.
Yeah. He's a year ahead of me in school.
And he made you a better player.
Yes, he did.
Potential double play. Marrero starts it. They turn and safe at first base. Not in time for the twin killing, so they're going to be on the corners here for Tampa Bay.
Well, this started off looking pretty good. A nice one hopper right there. Reverse pivot out of Marrero. Just some good speed down the line to avoid the double play. It's really all that was.
But Danny Ainge must have been all world, huh?
Yeah, that was the problem, really. I mean, when we were kids, I mean, Danny had older brothers and I had older brothers, and so when everyone got together and play, and you try to play in your own age group, that was fine. But they always wanted Danny to play with the older kids because he was better. He was better than some of them. So in the pickup games, I kind of got stuck with my buddies that we weren't as good. Danny was, and people raise their eyebrows when I say this, but if you really kind of go over the records, was literally one of the greatest all-around athletes I ever saw.
Professional baseball player.
And would and could have been a very good professional baseball player if they gave him a chance to be. Just basically went from high school to AAA. Never went through a spring training because he was playing basketball at BYU. Was in the big leagues the next year at 19 years old. And he hit 240. Yeah. So did I, but I went through spring training. And
240
that's all
for
I
a guy
did.
who didn't go to spring training.
It was great.
Not horrible.
They never had him playing what his best natural position was. He was 6'5", closer, sneaking up on 6'6", as a second baseman. His best position was center field.
And drafted by Toronto.
They used to let him out of football practice on Thursdays to play in the high school soccer games, and he'd dominate.
One of those guys.
Was one of the guys that, you know, he was an all-state wide receiver in football. In his senior season, they didn't have a quarterback, and so they said, Danny, you got to do it. He was all-state. If you taught him how to play poker one day, he'd beat you that night. He was that kind of guy. When you teach him how to play a game in an afternoon, that night he's beating you.
1-2. Good stop here. The runner's going to try and move up, and no throw. Runners will be at second and third here for Tampa Bay. And it's funny, I just saw Danny shot in the NCAA tournament. Remember the coast to coast?
Rod Foster.
Yep. Remember that?
Yeah.
Just saw that replayed the other day. BYU was playing the West Coast Conference tournament. And it's still amazing to watch.
Well, that's the play I would always bring up, because early in Danny's basketball career, everyone's like, he's not going to be anything. You know, he's not quick enough. You know, I'm like, yeah, ask Rod Foster if he's quick enough. You know, he took him for like 32 that day.
Yeah. Sky high pop-up. Yeah, he was a one-man wrecking crew.
Whoa.
Third baseman coming on in, and Miller covers the ground. Made a nice adjustment there for the second out.
That is a really nice play by Miller right there, because the wind's blowing. It's blowing the ball into the field of play. The last thing you really want is your catcher having to come out and try to make a play on that. Miller comes in, makes the adjustment, makes the play, saves the day here. This is not a ball you need dropping. Here it is. He's coming in there calling Rye off of there and really made a nice play. Little funny story. You see the dirt cutout. When I used to play third base with the White Sox and Carlton Fisk was catching, he would say, I am not coming out of this dirt. Any other ball that goes in the air, you're catching it.
Bo with a ground ball. Travis will handle that. Red Sox get out of it without any damage done. We go to the last half of the 8th inning in a 6-6 tie.
Live the
Well, last half of the 8th inning coming your way from beautiful JetBlue Park here in Fort Myers, Florida. Wishing you were here with us. And this will be Cody Hall coming out of the bullpen for the Rays. Good numbers last year at the AA level, a 2.79 ERA.
Yeah, they signed him out of the independent league. He was pitching in Lancaster. They scooped him up, sent him to Richmond. Did all right for himself out of Savannah, Georgia.
And Red Sox looking for a hero today. Looking for someone to hit the ball a long way. Get the Red Sox back into the win column after dropping a pair of split squad games yesterday. Tied up 6-6. Red Sox at the moment with 56 players in Major League Spring Training camp, 27 pitchers. Selski, one of 8 outfielders. Marrero on deck. Red Sox had a bunch of everyday players in there today. Regulars you'll see in the championship season, as they say, and that'll be Jackie Bradley, Mookie Betts, Xander Bogaerts, Hanley Ramirez, Eduardo Nunez, all getting starts today, along with JD Martinez, who had 3 hits as the DH.
Kind of like what JD did today. You know, he's playing in front of brand new fans. Kind of wanted to make an impression. You want to come in here and launch some home runs. He hit 45 of them last year. And all he did was just play inside out baseball with the right side of the field and banged out 3 hits.
And picked up an RBI.
That's what they're paying him to do, right? Drive in runs. Driving a ton of them if you get Mookie and Benny on base in front of them all year long.
1-2 to Selski. Tried to hold up, but that's going to be strike 3. So 1 away here in the Red Sox 8th inning, and Marrero next. Red Sox have not led today. Got behind 3-0 in the first inning, came right back, scored a couple of runs, but then Tampa Bay got a pair in the 4th, another in the 5th. Sox got 2 in the 5th, 2 more in the 7th. Really helped along in the 7th inning. The Rays were really wild.
You think spring training gets tougher on the manager as it moves along towards the start of the season? I think in the sense of the decisions that have to be made. Early on, it's fun. You're establishing yourself. You're having a good time. Everyone's playing. Starting right about now, you got 3 weeks left to make some decisions.
Sure. In there for a strike. Alex was talking about this just yesterday, and guys pressing for bullpen spots. Who's impressed him so far? But he made it clear there are a couple of jobs that could be won.
Yeah.
And he's going to have to make that decision along with Dave Dombrowski and the rest of the staff. But so much of it will come down to what Alex thinks. In there for strike 3. Caught Marrero looking, and 2 fast outs for the Sox here in the 8th.
Cody Hall coming in here throwing strikes, something we hadn't seen last inning.
Well, that's for sure. DeJesus will be next with the bases empty. And Dan Butler to follow if he gets that far. 6-6. And Hall, the right-hander.
You know what I kind of appreciate, OB, is the crowd that we're seeing right now. Certainly there's been a number of people who have left. You know, we're 3 hours into this ball game, but look at the crowd. That's a pretty good crowd. So what that tells me is that these are people that love baseball. They're not just here just to see the superstars play right now. We're well into some of the minor league guys now. These people are hanging around to watch the game. I like that.
Well, you know, players notice stuff like that, and when they don't see a mass exodus, you mentioned, you know, some have gone home and left the ballpark, but so many more have stayed, and players got to appreciate that, especially guys who are not going to be on a major league team, and they know it.
And there's a good number of fans out there that really do pay attention to what's going on in the minor leagues and who are the up and comers and who are the guys that who should I pay attention to right now that I might be seeing at Fenway in 2 years or 3 years.
No question.
These are the ones.
Base is clean, 2 down. Here's the 2-1 to DeJesus, and he pops to center. Solak underneath that to put it away and retire the side. Quiet inning. Red Sox go in order onto the ninth, tied 6-6. Blue Park. It is Tampa Bay 6 and the Red Sox 6. JD Martinez, you talked about his 3 hits today.
All to the opposite field. That one he dumped in there first in the first inning. They got the RBI here, his first at bat. Ball got past the outfielder, and then they put a big shift on him, and he said, that's just fine. If you don't want to play a second baseman, I'm going to hit ground balls over there where the second baseman is supposed to be. And he just rattled off 3 hits. You know, and I think that's just an excellent education for the other guys on the team too, to say, hey, if they want to shift on you, here's how you beat the shift. They'll stop doing it after a while.
This is Trevor Kelly, a right-hander for the Red Sox, to take over here in the 9th. With Solak to lead things off. Red Sox 10 hits, 9 for the Rays. Brian Johnson got the start today for the Red Sox. No decision for Brian. He went 3 runs, 3 hits. All those runs in the first inning. After he gave up the 3, then struck out the side in the next inning. Faced only 3 batters in the 3rd. So he got his act together. Very much in the running for that 5th starter spot. Bounding ball to short. DeJesus will set him down. 1 away.
Well, it seemed to me with Johnson today, it just took him a little bit to settle in. He started hitting his corners and hitting his spots, but early on, see, there you go to the outside part of the plate. Early on, he was unable to do that, and he got hammered pretty good. But as he settled in, you see him hitting his spots, going to both sides of the plate to be effective, and getting some swings and misses, and even a called 3rd.
And for a strike on Sullivan, it took ball 4 in the 7th. So far for the spring in total here for Johnson, 7 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs. Walked only 1. One of his real strengths is throwing strikes.
Well, they said they wanted him to see as long as he could go in this game. I would say maybe they're a little disappointed in how far he ended up going. because of the number of pitches he threw in the first inning, I would assume.
And they faced 7 men in the top of the first today. Kelly, side armor, and a pop up to center. Selski can't get to it. He'll drop in for a base hit. A little flare off the end of the bat for Sullivan. He'll take it. So that'll bring up Wong with a man on and a man out. Sun bright again here at JetBlue.
Best thing about a submarine type pitcher is that they're generally going to get some ground balls. So if you get a guy on base, you can erase both of them with a ground ball here.
Well, we certainly hope, as you're watching today from back home, that you're hanging in there with all of the snow and these nasty storms. And hate to say it, you're probably aware of it already. There's another one coming on Monday. Or somewhere around there, Monday or Tuesday.
It's the time of year, I guess.
I'm flying home on Sunday just to get a first-hand look, and I'll report back, Steve.
Thanks. Give me a quick call.
Send you a pic.
Wear your jacket. I'll be sitting here in my shorts.
Yep. Well, you should. One down, a man on. Thomas Malone taking over as the runner at first base after Sullivan gone on with a bloop single. Kelly looking for a ground ball right at an infielder. Instead, a liner sliced down into the corner. That's going to be a fair ball up against the wall. They're going to hold the runner at third base, Malone, and it will be 2 bags for Wong. So trouble brewing here for the Red Sox, second and third with 1 down.
Well, Wong did an excellent job. I mean, against a sinker baller, for your left-handed hitter, you should be trying to go the other way because you see that ball sinking down and away from you. He got it up into the air, so he avoided any kind of ground ball double play situation. Got it into the corner and ends up with a double. And as you said, little trouble here.
Snyder will climb in with the infield in now for Boston. Tampa Bay's forged ahead in hits 11-10. And Kelly with a 1-0. Right past him.
We've seen the Red Sox defense get a lot of work on infield in so far this spring.
Flied but foul and out of play. One and two.
It'd be nice to see the Red Sox come down here and win lots of games in spring training, but it's better if you find yourself in the situations during the regular season that you're going to have to deal with. And so having guys on base that you have to cut the run down at the plate, or losing games and finding a way to claw yourself back into it, are all situations you're going to come up with in the season. So you got to see it down here too.
In there for strike 3. And that is out number 2.
There's nothing fancy here, but he comes right at you.
So here's McCarthy, infield back to normal depth, although shifting on him, 3 men stacked on the right side. And a count 0-1.
Wong at second base can get an enormous lead, almost halfway to third. It'd be very difficult to get him on any type of base hit.
That's a strike. Quickly 0-2. Kelly trying to hold after allowing a base hit and a double. But he's trying to go with back-to-back Ks here and get out of it. Nothing in 2. And the side armor. McCarthy getting another piece to stay alive. Nothing in 2. Malone at third, Wong at second for the Rays. He spoiled some good pitches.
Yes. If you're Kelly out there on the mound too, you're thinking to yourself, well, first guy got a little blue pit off the end of his bat and I had him. Next guy hits one down the left field line. It was hitting nicely, but it was like, you know, a few inches could have gone foul. I wouldn't be in the trouble I'm in. Now I come back and strike out a guy, and I'm trying to get this guy too, and he keeps fouling pitches off. I think Kelly slipped on that pitch. I think he caught a cleat halfway through that delivery and didn't quite let that pitch go the way he wanted to do it.
Of course, this is Trevor, not Joe Kelly.
Been a lot of pitches thrown off of that mound today.
You sure have. 1-2 and got him. Back-to-back strikeouts to freeze him at second and third. We go to the last half of the ninth inning, tied 6-6. Bottom half of the ninth inning, Red Sox knotted up 6 apiece with Tampa Bay. Here's how we got here in the 7th inning.
Well, scored a couple runs in the bottom of the 7th there. Jeremy Barfield with a nice ball right up the middle. That's going to score a run. And then with Rye hitting, this was just a boxed play at home plate. Just It's just not a good play. I mean, it looked to me like the catcher was kind of really trying to frame it, and he didn't quite get there and didn't catch it.
Just missed it. Hey, Jemai, how long is this game going to go?
Well, Alex Cora just gave the signals to President of Baseball Operations, Dave Dombrowski, and they decided to cut it off after 9 innings. This game will be over, so they either win it here or they end up in a tie, Dave.
Okay. No ties in baseball except in spring training.
Exactly.
All right, thanks, Jemai. So we're all nodded 6-6. Red Sox certainly would prefer to win this thing if they can.
I mean, it's been here for 3 hours. Might as well.
Dan Butler will lead things off here. Ian Gibault coming out of their bullpen. He worked at Double-A and Single-A last year. Burly right-hander.
Big Houston, Texas guy. Threw up some pretty good ERA numbers.
He drops in a strike. Butler has scored a run in this one, the 1-2. Sam Travis on deck. Neither side has committed an error in this one.
Well, they did, but then they took it away.
That's correct. Big wave and a miss. He was thinking about touching them all there, and down goes Butler, one away. I'll bring up Sam Travis. Early in the game, around the 3rd inning, Eduardo Nunez, who got the start today's first of the spring at second base, he was charged with a tough error, and I think they rightfully took that back and made it a hit a little bit later.
And the range that he showed on that play leads me to believe that that knee is well on its way to healing. He got all the way up the middle. It was such a tough throw.
He looked good.
Yeah. Got a lot on that throw. Hanley, it was a play that Hanley should have handled at first base, and he didn't.
Here it comes. Here it comes.
So to count 2-0 on Travis. Barfield's on deck, and he is not a man you have to remind to swing for the fences.
Nope.
Should he get his pitch.
He's going to let it rip.
Ground ball scooped up. And just like that, 2 away here in the 9th inning, and so it's up to Barfield at this point.
Home run.
Because as we've just learned from our intrepid reporter Jemai Webster, this game will end in a tie. If it's 6-6 at the end of 9, that'll be it.
No, a lot of home run hitters will tell you, I don't go up there looking to hit a home run, but my swing designates the way I hit the ball, and this is a time where you go up looking to hit a home run.
Nobody on base, 2 down. And a strike. Even up on Barfield.
Trying to get him when he swings,
Usne Castillo on deck. A little bit of a breeze out to right at the moment, and the 1-1 off the mitt.
Well, this is the time. Gibault threw the slider there. His fastball is about 96 miles an hour. Barfield's going to have to catch up with it, but probably see the fastball here.
Two and two.
97 on the fastball there. Barfield just a tad behind it.
Two.
Unfortunately, now because you missed that fastball, now you get to probably see the slider again.
And the 2-2. He struck him out, and that will do it today. This one is going to end in a tie. 6-6 the final score. 3 hours and 14 minutes, and we call it a day here from Fort Myers. Thanks so much for joining us. 6-6 the final. For Steve Lyons and Jemiah Webster, I'm Dave O'Brien. Have a great evening.
Welcome